Welcome back to the program, a great sponsor for years. It's Rugged Maniac. They are the perfect introduction race for newbies. Got a friend or kids ages 12 and up you want to introduce to OCR? Rugged Maniac checks all the boxes and is accessible to all athletic abilities. There's a new referral program. Once you sign up for Rugged Maniac, and by the way, they still have some of the lowest early bird prices, you will receive your own personal referral link. If you sign up 5 friends with your personal link, you will be completely refunded your entry fee. A lot of races have a refer your friends discount, but this is the first one I know of that actually gives you your money back. Also this year, Rugged Maniac has upgraded to tech tees. We all love tech finisher tees. Rugged Maniac is going to give you one of those. There's also some new obstacles being announced. I'm hoping to be one of the first to bring those to you. I do Rugged Maniac almost every year. Super fun. Love it, love it, love it. It's one of those races that if you're experienced, you can race elite in the morning and then do a funsy lap in the afternoon. A very, very good time. Check out ruggedmaniac.com.
Yeah! Get up!
Welcome to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast with Matt B. Davis.
With over 300 episodes since 2012, Matt has produced the most consistent podcast in OCR.
Each episode, Matt speaks with race directors, athletes, and industry insiders to bring you the most in-depth interviews and conversations in the world of obstacle racing,
adventure runs, and ultra marathons. If you have small children nearby, now is the time to put on some headphones
or send them off to watch Phineas and Ferb, as there are occasionally 4-letter words,
which are not bleeps. Now, here is your host.
Now here is your goddamn host.
Now here's your host, fucking Matt B. Davis.
Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast. I am your host, Matt B. Davis. Many of you thanked me for the episode with David Watson, where we cleared up much of the confusion around qualifications. And dare I say, ladies and gentlemen, it's still not finished. There have been other questions that have arisen since then, and I plan to put out some more information very soon. I know Heather talked to him and closed some of those loops, so I'm going to listen to that episode, then go back, get on the phone with him, see what's still missing, and then put that out as a standalone podcast or maybe discuss it just in a quick video. We'll see where that comes, but thank you for the feedback. It's great to hear when you guys hear something and it makes a difference for you and lets me know I did a good job. It feels great. So thank you. Always keep that commentary coming, good, bad, or indifferent. Speaking of which, we do have a latest iTunes review. It's short and sweet. It's by Jello Shots. Show is great, real down to earth, talks with many different people. Thank you, Jello Shots. We got a big shout out for the Patreons coming later in this episode, but let's get to today's episode, which is Jack Bauer and I think I'm going to call this episode OCR Stat Mania. For those that don't know, Jack Bauer has created a ranking system among Spartan races in a way that we've never seen before. Spartan Race has struggled with various point systems to keep track of seasons and keep track of who's the best. And OCRWC had a failed version of this. A couple years ago, they kind of half-assed did. What Jack has done has used real stats. So not just how you did, but who did you race against. So if you show up to your local race and podium, it's not as strong as showing up at Killington against the best in the world, although it's not Killington anymore, it's Tahoe, or the U.S. National Series with some loaded fields. So it's great because it gets to show us where people rank, and then also historically, someone who's doing really, really well now, you can look back and say, wow, if you raced back in 2012, you're the 10th best now. You'd be the first best because that's how good the sport's gotten. Stuff like that. So if you're into interesting statistics, a lot of random stats like who's the best at this or who's done the most that, and just kind of that kind of fun stuff, this episode's going to be for you. And if not, then it won't be. But it's a long chat. It was around Thanksgiving. He came to my house, and I had told him we would have this episode for a long time. I've been talking to Jack offline a lot in recent months because I know, first of all, he's a fun guy, and I like him. But also because we're two of a very small number of people who care about this, passionate about this in the way that we are. History of the sport, who's won, who hasn't, what that means for the sport, who's coming up, all this fun stuff. So, for example, he was the only person who knew that Rebecca Hammond was going to be a force to be reckoned with later on in the year, and she certainly was. So enough about that. Let's dig in. It's a really long chat, as you can see. So gear in for the long run, or if this is your morning commute, then it'll also be your on the way home commute. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, very relaxed, chill out in my back porch and then my house interview. Away we go.
It's chilly out here. Can you describe where we are right now?
We are in Matt's mansion. It's probably 60 degrees. We just went on a nice swim in the pool. No, I'm just kidding. We're in Matt's back porch, sitting at a not so new table.
Nope.
Just chilling outside
in
Atlanta. It's pretty awesome.
What would you say the temperature is?
If I was willing to bet, I'd say 50 roughly.
So speaking of which, you feel how
47.
So it's 47.
Yeah.
For World's Toughest Mudder next year, it could be 32 at night. It could be. Jack just put his shades on, a la what's his name from CSI, and I cannot take you seriously if you're going to wear those shades.
It's sunny out.
It is what I would describe as overcast.
Do you realize the skin complexion?
I
going on
do,
here?
but this is not sunny. I talked to you in Miami. You weren't wearing those shades.
Yeah, it was. If
you were not wearing those.
I'm underneath an awning in the clouds so that I don't get cloud burned. So
I don't know that I'm going to be able to take you seriously with these fucking shades on, dude. So
I'm going to put them on at some point again, just saying.
So this is cold weather.
This is not cold weather.
This is cold weather.
It's miserable if you're late in a race, in a super long race, but I could see how this would not be fun for World's Toughest Mudder if you're racing.
And it was 12 degrees colder at night.
And wet. And you're tired.
And wet, which, by the way, speaking of which, I just listened to Heather Bodie's Overcome and Run with one Devin Yanko, phenomenal ultra runner. And I'm going to have her on the podcast as well because I think she's in for a bit of a rude awakening. Now, I'm not trying to be a hater. She's a phenomenal racer. And I'm going to save what I'm going to say to her for that episode. But Heather was also saying this. Heather was saying, like, oh, well, she's going to do great right away. And I'm like, no, she's not. Now, I'll get into why she's not later, but we're not going to get into it on this episode.
Yeah, save her for your time.
And because, like, again, like, I'm not shitting on her. Like, I'm gonna be nice when I talk to her. But Devin, if you happen to hear this before your episode, which I don't think you will, anyway, let's back up. You and I started talking about marathons and street racing. And this year, I have quite enjoyed trying to PR 5 and 10Ks, trying to PR half marathon. It's been a nice change. I was definitely one of those people, the OCR hardcore, that was like, fuck street races. All they do is put on their headphones. They're boring. There's nothing to talk about afterwards. Hey, I took a lift at this house. There's no great obstacles to talk about. But as a guy that has run, I think it's 170 obstacle races and counting, it's nice to mix it up. So I'm enjoying getting out there on the pavement and trying to go as fast as I can, which for me is not that fast.
Yeah, but realistically, whenever you set that PR, it's your PR for life. You can always tell somebody that you have covered this amount of distance on foot in this amount of time.
But you realize I'm so early in my speed training that I've got a long way to go.
Oh yeah.
I set this PR on this little segment I set, and Woods was like, "Oh, you're going to knock 2 minutes off that." I was like, "No, I'm not." And like in a week or two, I'd knock 2 minutes off of it. You know what I mean? Like pretty quickly.
No, and a lot of people in OCR, they don't realize how important speed is to it. It's a very aerobic thing, but if you're not used to running fast, you're not going to run fast. Like there was a saying back in college and high school, everybody's heard it. It's long, slow distance means you're going to run a long distance really slow. So if you don't add some speed to stuff, you're screwed.
But I'm the king of that. I'm king of the let me get out, let me sweat a little bit, let me get the heart rate going a little bit. And I like that's my like happy place. Yeah. The 3 to 5 mile run 4 to 5 times a week, on a good week 2 to 3 times a week, great for me. And then when I start getting into training for an ultra or a world's toughest, then I start adding let's get in the double digits on the weekends. Yeah. But I'm all about it.
So if you were to publicly state right now, by the end of 2029, what do you want your PRs to be? 2019, Jesus.
10 years from now, Jack Bauer.
50-something-year-old PRs.
We'll be facing robots.
Yeah.
It'll be the Hobie Call bot.
Oh, jeez.
The Hobie Call robot versus
Atkins bot.
Dude, what if it's like, what's that movie? Where they like Real Steel, where like they make the frickin' Rock'em Sock'ems. What if we all had our own, right?
I don't know a movie, but I can picture it.
So there's a movie where basically it's boxing, but you use a Rock'em Sock'em robot, and like you control it.
Yeah, sounds like a really good B movie.
It's a very B movie that Jackson likes a lot.
Okay.
The rap song "Till I Collapse" is in it, which is why Jackson I think really likes it. You know the Eminem song "Till I Collapse."
Who doesn't? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to hum a few bars?
Not really, but I mean, everyone knows. They usually play it at like the start line, and then gets everyone pumped up.
Exactly. What else is good at the start line?
Jeez. So, honestly, I'm 29 right now. I wouldn't even.
You're so young,
know
Jack Bauer.
half the crap that comes out these days. Like, you're from Atlanta. What's your take on trap music?
I like it.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, once that started happening, I'm just like, I can't listen to.
You got to talk a little closer to the microphone.
Once that started happening, I was like, I can't listen to the radio anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's because I'm from here. That might have something to do with it. But it's also
I figured it's a little more prevalent.
But it's also there's good and bad. Like if you listen to the current rap station here, which is 107.9, I forget what it's called. It's all trap, and sometimes like you recognize that beat and those phrasings, and it's not necessarily good. Whereas like on the old school rap station 97.9, I love because it's all the shit that I grew up with and before I grew up with. It's LL Cool J, it's Run DMC, it's whatever. Anyway, let's back up a little bit. So
your PRs.
I've got I know I can do 155. Like
half marathon.
Like I know I can, but just getting what I got yesterday, I'm like, maybe I could do sub 4 because I never thought I could do sub 4 marathon. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get that. And what's Boston for my age? Like 345? Like that's probably out of reach. Mm-hmm. I'm already looking at ways to fundraise because you can get in through donation based, and there are certain programs you can sign up for. So by the way, if you have an in for that, I'm starting to learn. A lot of people listening to this podcast have good stuff. When I asked for stat people, I got a lot of stat people. I'm coming for you, Jack Bauer. That's a whole nother conversation.
You have, yeah.
Dude. I've already got a team working on World's Toughest, and then next is Spartan, and then you're going down.
Yeah. All right, we'll see.
We could combine forces, but you and Yancey.
My stuff's already done. So good luck.
You and Yancey are gonna like whatever, and then like a year from now, you're gonna call me and be like, "Hey, do you want some of this?" Because Yancey and I's thing didn't work out how we thought.
It's all right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if you get your PR or if you get the statistical dominance that you're hoping for.
Now, I just guys want you to know, you can't see this, but Jack's face got very much got like a dog protecting his territory. Like
I was foaming from the mouth.
Like a basketball team, when you show up at their court and say, we're going to beat you, he is very proud of his data, and he is very proud. And I'm saying that only half kidding. Yeah, only half kidding.
I know. It's all good. Anyway, back to your PRs. What are you going to run? What you got? How about you try a mile also?
Well, I really like my segment. My segment is like a little over 2, and I really like that because it's like it hurts. I've just never run that long. Yeah. It's like 20 minutes. Now it's like 18, right? And like,
yeah, like Woods was saying, you're going to take time out. You're more familiar with like where you can shave a couple seconds off now that you've run it a lot.
Well, he wasn't even saying that. He was just saying by doing it. Like, but it's just one of those things. Like the first time I ran it, and I was 20 or 21, I was like, okay, well, I'll get that down by a minute. He's like, no, you're going to get it down to like, you're going to be in the 17s. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yes, you are. And then before I know it, I was there. So I just ran this race, this half marathon. I ran one this summer. It was the first time I had tried. I'd done a couple halves in my life, but I'd never tried. I'm making air quotes and tried. This summer, I run a half. I go, you know what? Why don't I see if I can get this sub 2? And I run it, and it really hurt, and it was fucking hot, and even just grabbing water at the aid stations hurt. I wouldn't stop at all, and like I didn't want to fucking tie my shoes, and I was just over. I was by Strava, I was like, 2 hours and 30 seconds. By the race, I was like 2 hours and a minute maybe. So here comes this race. Didn't really improve my speed training that much, but I just felt good. I just felt confident. I knew it's going to be cooler. And I think today's the day. And I made the biggest mistake I made last time was I tried to look at my watch and that bottom number, which is the average pace, which is the wrongest way to do it because it fluctuates so much. If you stop to walk for a minute, it now says 11. You can't get it back down. There's a way to set it, but I didn't know how to do it. Anyway, so this time I'm like, well, I'm just going to look at total time. So in your head, it's pretty easy. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. Now we get tricky.
You got that math. Yeah.
But I took a picture of it, and I looked at it on my phone a couple times. But I was on it, dude. I was just on it. Like you said, you saw my splits.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm good.
Your heart rate was going up like 1 beat per minute or staying the same, which means you're the same relative effort per mile. Your pace was slightly improved. Like, that is how you would want someone to run a half marathon.
And I know that I can close the gap in the last. I know I'm a closer.
Yeah, you were in like the low 7s on that last part.
Right,
so.
but I could have been in just even the low 8s instead of 850.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not thought I was way ahead, because I can. Like, it would have hurt a lot worse, but I know I can turn it on. I know I can do it. I have it in me.
Yeah, it's one of those times where you're just like, you walk away from it, you're like, all right, I raced, but this is so disappointing because, like, why does the time say this when your watch, which we can get into also, clearly said that you definitely broke that mark, but it's not really a PR. That's the thing. You didn't break your 2. It is a PR because it's the fastest you've run, but it's not that sub 2 that you're hoping for.
Right, and it's interesting because Stacy, who I love, like was so happy when I came home. She was like, "Honey, you got 201." Like, she was so happy because she thought, well, you got close to it. And I had to explain to her because she lifts now. I'd be like, "Honey, it'd be like if you're trying to get a PR on a deadlift and you didn't get it, and someone's like, yeah, but you're close. You got 5 pounds away." It's like, that's not the point.
It's not even yeah.
Right. It's not
in your mind. You're like, this is such a shitty day. Like, what happened? So.
Well, and especially because it like fucked with my run. Like, the whole time I kept like thinking, like, well, how is this going to even out? Like, I'm a half mile ahead, and by the end I was 0.7 ahead. Like, it was almost, and then I couldn't even really do the math. I was like, well, how do I can't speed up now.
Yeah. So you had to do it again. You're not looking at. Are you just going to throw away the watch and go with one of those pace groups? Because those guys are usually pretty spot on.
Okay, so this is what's going to come up in the Quitco episode. Do you know who I passed with about 2 miles to go?
The pacer.
The 150 pacer.
Oh.
And then I passed the 2 pacer, a 2 pacer.
He was 10 minutes. That's like a minute per mile. That's not even close. I could see like 5 seconds off per mile. But
So they have a little thing on their back, and usually there's a group of them, and they're holding a sign like with a pole.
Yeah, I've seen those guys. Yeah.
So when I passed, and that was the other thing, is I wanted to talk to other people. I kept wanting to talk to other people, and like, okay, and again, I'm like going at a pretty good clip, and I'm like, okay, is that person wearing a watch? Should I talk to them and say, what are you getting? And I thought, all that's more energy taking away. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, that woman's like, she's not even wearing a watch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the pace people, it wasn't even, when I passed the 150 person, and I was like, that can't be right. And then I passed a 2. I think there's multiples. But
they probably started in like wave C, wave B, or whatever.
Right, but new runners, unless you're standing next to a person that's like holding the sign and like you have a conversation with them before the race, don't trust it, because this is the second time that's happened. When I did that Kraft half marathon, I met a guy and he had it taped to his arm, and I was staying with him, and he lost me early in the race, and I was like, well, that can't be right. And then later on, he was like, yeah, I was a little ahead, and it was like, well,
you have one job.
That's
like
the prime definition.
You know that meme where it's like you had one job.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's the other problem with
you're holding a sign that says I'm going to run this fast. You better run that fast.
But that's the other problem with the 9:08 time thing, is that it was perfect for me to print out what I printed out. So I'll show you what I printed out, which it showed a 2 pace and a 2:05 pace. So it showed me where I was supposed to be. I knew I just had to be in between those.
Yeah.
Or no, one shows
155.
Yeah, no, one shows you're finishing at 159.59 or 159.58, and the other one shows like a little over 2. I'm like, all I got to do is be in between those, and I'm fine.
And your money.
Right? And you said I was.
Yeah. No, I mean the data, like what you uploaded, assuming GPS has a little bit of error, all of them do. But I'm not in the 155s. Like you were.
But I'm not in the canyon. I'm not in a canyon, and I'm not in like it's so downtown a city you can't see what happens.
Yeah. I'm assuming there wasn't like bad weather. Like it's 2018. A GPS watch is gonna get data. Like looking at those numbers, it appears as if you covered on foot a half marathon distance way below 2.
So here's what Enrique showed me. He goes, oh, see this? See where, like, he's like, oh, did you go to Walgreens for a piss break? He was like joking because it looked like I ran a little bit outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, but that's what all that adds up. All that adds up. And like he said, on a 5K pace, you can be up to, I think he said, even a half mile or mile off, even on a 5K.
You know, 5K? Wow. That's like the gym class mile where it's like, oh, yeah, I ran like a 3:30 mile the other day. We did like 8 laps around the gym. You know how they'd have that stuff back in middle school?
I don't remember that.
Oh, the gym teacher would be like, all right, time for the mile fitness test. And people would be running faster than the world record because the gym teacher's like, yeah, it's like 7 laps around the gym's a mile. And it's like not even close. So margin of error there.
All I remember in the gym class was the rope climb, the old school rope climb.
My mom said that she had to climb ropes and shoot arrows. Can you imagine in a school shooting arrows these days?
We had metal shop and wood shop in my school. People made nunchucks.
But like literally arrows.
Love it.
What was your prize creation?
I never took metal shop.
Okay.
Metal shop was like for the dumb kids.
Okay.
Everybody took wood shop, but if you were, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I know it's not politically correct, but it's like, who takes metal shop? The kids that are going to fucking work in metal.
Yeah. It's preparation. It's
Right?
Probably a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not dumb because, I'm sure you've seen those like crazy like Facebook statistics, like go to college, be $1 million in debt, no job.
And they're the ones who get way ahead.
Take a skill.
Yeah.
So
plumbers make money.
So if you're me, if you're Matt Davis, you're telling me cut the angles, don't run where the cones are, and don't run outside. And
it's called running the tangents.
Okay.
So if you're going like you have a C shape,
right?
You want to run on like the open edge of the C.
But isn't it opposite in the ultra? You want to run the lines, as they say. Like in an ultra, you want to run the line.
You want straight point distances. You don't want to necessarily follow the curve. Like if this is kind of hard to describe, but yeah, if you have like a C-shaped curve and you're running, you want to hug the inside because that's going to be further than the outside. Like the actual distance along the inside of the road is going to be shorter than the outside. So that saves you 20 feet. You do that every single curve in the race, and it's going to add up a lot. So that's what a lot of people were trained to do in like high school and college.
But those of us that are just figuring out how to run in his mid-40s.
Yeah, but if you watch like the elite Spartaners, no one's taking the wide turns in general. Like they're all sharp corners, running the tangents.
What about Isaiah?
He just makes his own tracks. Yeah. No comment. There's video of him. But
you don't want to talk about it? Jack Bauer does not want to talk about Isaiah.
He's a talented racer.
And my buddy taught me that. My buddy, when I was doing stand-up, and he was like, what did he say? Talented comedian, great at what he does. When we were talking about, like, that guy's a fucking hack, and he does magic tricks, and talented comedian, great at what he does. That's what he would always say. So I don't want to lay anything out there because I don't know. My interests change. You know what I mean? Like I want to do a toughest this year. Sorry, next year. Right? That hasn't been on my calendar. We had
8 hour or 12 hour now.
Yeah, we had one here, and I wasn't that interested in doing it. But now that the good Lord willing, knock on wood, I keep this job with Tough Mudder every year, I don't get to run World's Toughest. So I'd like to do a toughest.
Just to get that experience. And 12 hours, that's going to be pretty intense.
Yeah, but like I know I can do it.
But what is it going to be? Because they announced their 4 venues. I honestly didn't see.
So there's 4. Yeah,
it's Dallas area now.
So it's Dallas, Philly, something and something
Minnesota?
else. Yes. Dallas, Minnesota, Philly.
Some West Coast California area.
Yeah. No, it's Vegas.
Vegas?
Instead of NorCal, it's Vegas.
Okay.
So those 4.
Yeah.
They said they're adding European ones. I'm probably not going to do a European one.
Unlikely, yeah.
Although that'd be cool, too.
Yeah.
But I get to... I have to very carefully pick and choose what I do. If I'm not getting paid to do it, it's hard for me to leave my house, right? Because...
Yeah, you got kids. I literally witnessed your wife leave, and I was like, here are the kids.
Right,
Bye.
exactly. So, but no, I'd like to do Philly Toughest looks like the one I'm going to do because I know a lot of people going, and it's just kind of the one I think I'm going to do.
Yeah, and it's summer, roughly?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I can run a fucking sub 2.5, and I think I can run a sub for real marathon, but I don't know. Like, that's so much training that goes into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And honestly, like if you're trying for that toughest, like don't forget the upper body because that's what's gonna fail you first. Like if your legs are just like you were trying to get at with Devin Yanko, it's probably gonna be the same thing. If
No. Listen, I know that that's what I don't work on, and when I am working on it, I do work on it. Like so, this year it was like this year is the year I get like all the savage obstacles. I'm gonna actually train. So if you watch me and Clayton, we were doing it. And we immediately, increased our number of pull-ups, increased a lot of things almost immediately.
Weren't you going to have like some contests, you and Stacy versus like the Atkinses,
so
like who can do the most pull-ups?
I still want that to happen. We'll bring that up later because I still want that to happen.
Sure.
But and then we fell off. Like we did it for 3 or 4 months, and then we completely fell off. So yes, if I'm training for toughest, I'm going to absolutely need to work on those things.
You know a couple of people who can also help you with the training. So
I do know a couple of people. I do know a couple of people that can help with that. But yeah, it's like, no duh. I know I can't just do my my slow running to work on toughest.
Mm-hmm. No, you'll be fine. I say go for it. But after you get that sub 2, the official.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like do people? I mean, I gotta think that the weather can have as much as a minute to do with it, right? When you're fucking like
you're talking yesterday's race.
Yeah, because like when I hit the water stations, it was fine. Whereas in the summer, by the time I get to the water station, I was deficient.
Oh, yeah. So have you ever looked up heat adjustment calculators?
No.
So basically, all world records in general. You remember that sub 2 marathon movie, or the attempt that some guy made when he ran a 2 flat 30 marathon? He tried breaking the 2-hour barrier.
About the thing that Nike just did?
Yeah. So they did that.
That's what's his name? The guy that just won Boston.
Eliud Kipchoge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think he won Boston. But anyway, he they do.
So you think he ran the fastest street marathon and didn't win?
He didn't run actually Boston. He was at a different event.
He tried to set the record, got close, and then went and won New York or Boston this year.
Okay, I don't think it was Boston. That's what I'm saying. He ran other marathons. It might have been Chicago or New York. I don't know off the top of my head. But anyway, they do all these attempts when it's like 45, 50 degrees. Because the rule of thumb is your body temperature is going to feel like 20 degrees hotter than it actually is outside. So if it's 50 out, you're going to feel about 70, which is a very comfortable, not overheating temperature. So if it was a cooler day, which it was yesterday, that's probably good conditions for that. They have heat adjustment calculators. So if you run like a 7-minute mile when it's 90 degrees out, that's like the equivalent. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it might be something like a 6:20 if it was 50 degrees out. Just because it's so much hotter, you can adjust for humidity and stuff. So you can look into. I've shared that with some of my Texas friends when they're like, I almost set a PR in a marathon. It's like you were definitely. A better performance this day, even though it was a slower time because of how. But also
people run different. Mike Stefano was saying most people were dying out there, and I wasn't that cold.
Yeah.
At World's Toughest, yeah. I sweat like a fucking pig. Right.
Preaching to the choir.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I can't not wear a buff for what I mean. Like just a jog if it's hot. I know I'm gonna like usually like when I did that summer half. Like I'll put on a buff and then like tuck one away to like switch out.
Yeah, halfway through. I'm totally the same way.
Right.
I'm like a pig. But
my butt, by the way, is freezing on this metal chair.
Do you want to switch chairs?
Well, I was just gonna say let's just go inside at this point.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, we've now moved to the office, so it might be a little echoey in here, but oh well.
Here, I'll shut this door.
It's fucking cold out.
Whoa! Wait a minute. I see Matt's passport on the table over here. I wonder if his middle name is listed in there.
Are you one of the few that knows? I think you're one of the few that knows.
You messaged me one time, so. I haven't told anybody.
On purpose, I messaged you?
Yeah. Yeah, you showed me your boarding pass one time when you were traveling somewhere.
So it wasn't on purpose?
No, it was completely intentional. You said that like Woods and like 3 other people in the sport or something know, and it's probably more than that, but you're like, yeah, here. I don't know why you did it, but you
By the way, Woods is the worst person to know because Woods
he
drinks wine
every single time.
Drinks wine yeah. And is like he thought he said it on the live feed.
Yeah. Do you want to give the second letter?
No. That would give away everything.
No, it wouldn't. What? How many names start with BQ? Come on.
Anyhow, I think I might do something about that one of these days.
Just like whoever raises the most money for something.
I don't know. Something stupid.
Yeah.
I could do something with it. Yeah.
Or the winning Patreon of next year.
The winning Patreon.
Or whoever donates the most for Patreon or something.
Gets to know?
Yeah.
No, I feel like I should do an actual announcement. Like I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Totally. Yeah. Like when they're announcing if Tahoe ever moves, be like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the secondary thing. Matt B. Davis, right. I'm taking my talents to B, and then If
Tahoe ever moves, do you think it'll ever move?
Everyone says they have a sweet deal. Like, that's just disappointing, honestly. And I live at altitude. Unless they declare that it's a super or shorter, I'm not doing that again. And I think a lot of people are kind of fed up also. And did you see the new obstacle? Like that? Oh, yeah. If you saw Matt's face right now, he's like a disappointed dog. But I don't even know why they're even adding that. It's like a horizontal playground. Like
the gentleman in the video says there's nowhere to grab. Except
all the grab things.
Except for 99% of this obstacle.
Yeah. And they're like, it's a long stretch if you're 4 feet tall. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. I was super disappointed. They showed all the sketches, and I'm like, oh, this one might be cool. It might have like, spinning bars or something that pulls it. And it's a joke.
But you can't even make that obstacle harder. Like, what would you take? Like,
if you took away half of it, it still would be easy.
Yeah, no, if you exactly, it's like you're rappelling across a crib where you have all like
essentially
that's all it is. I don't if anybody burpees on that, like it's gonna be a shocker.
I think we should call it the crib.
The crib, yeah, absolutely. Did you see one of the there was a comment on one of the Facebook announcements? Some guy's like, I'm an obese Spartan racer, I'm not going to fail this. This is kind of a joke. And I was like, wow, okay, if he's publicly declaring this, no one's challenged by this. So I think they should have stepped it up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to this data business.
We didn't even go to it. So,
well, we when I kind of joked that I was coming for your stat whatever, you got really crazy on me. So let's back up a little bit. Since day one, I'm like over here being the only one that fucking gives a shit about anything, right? Like I'm looking up, I'm trying to find, it's 2013. I'm looking for 2012. Oh, it's going to be so loud. It's 2013. I'm looking for 2012 results and videos from Spartan. Like links have changed. Links are dead.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why would we ever keep anything?
Yeah, they don't have like the / 2013 / it's impossible to find.
Even last year, it's like, what happened to that thing? Or like World's Toughest Mudder, they'll update a link and it only points to now's information. So anyway, so ever since like back in the day, like I feel like I'm the only one like waving my hand saying, I care, this stuff's interesting. Let's fucking look at it.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted a Jack Bauer to work with to like, hey, can you help me do this? Right. So between Dario and I and another source I have that shall remain nameless, that wants to remain nameless, I have varying things, but it's more like number of participant data, because that's the data that comes.
Did Dario do something like 2013 and 14 where he was like, here's how many people ran Spartan Race all year?
Yes.
I thought he came up with stuff like that a few years ago. Okay.
Right.
And it was like this course had this much elevation change and
yes.
Yeah.
And
that's useful stup. Like I think a lot of people.
But see, I didn't even want to go in the weeds that deep. I just wanted total numbers, right?
Yeah.
Who podiumed? And yeah, that's kind of it. I was going to say like in total numbers versus last year, but that kind of is like goes without saying. So, I think Todd Brilliant did that one year. I think around Battle Frog times, he was like, okay, so let's pick Tri-State, Malibu, and whatever, and let's look at the numbers every year. It's like, okay, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000.
And then 0 in 2017.
Well, it was never. I'm not talking about Battle Frog. I'm talking about.
I was talking Battle Frog numbers.
Battle Frog never had that. So Spartan in those cities, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000, 12,000, and then starts dropping. So then it's 10, 9, 8.
Yeah.
But 8,000 is still a shitload of people.
It's peaked, but it's not on a decline. It's kind of leveled off.
Exactly.
After a small drop. Yeah.
But that's the data I was looking at. And so, and I wanted to know who won, right? Has Hobie won the most races ever?
I've got all that info if you want it.
Okay.
Well, not if you want it.
Has Hobie won the most races ever?
No. Who do you think it is? Male Spartan. I know the guys off the top of my head because I looked at it recently.
Okay.
Do you want to do U.S. based? Because number one is not in the U.S.
Okay, so U.S. based.
Yep.
Won the most races.
Who has won the most? I actually.
And it's not Hobie.
Pause this. Let me pull out my computer.
Okay.
This is the most male podiums in Spartan race history.
Oh, there's a difference. Podiums and wins. There's a difference. I'm asking you most wins. If we're going to talk about most podiums, that's fine. That changes my answer though. And it's not Killian, who's been on a ton. Wait a minute. Is this elite or is this? So it's not Killian. Is it Ryan Atkins?
No.
Is it Ryan Woods?
Nope.
Is it someone that's been racing longer than both of those guys?
Yes.
Okay, so now we got to go. Now we're going back to. Is it Hunter? It's not Bracken.
Bracken has 44 career podiums.
Yes.
He is 7th.
7th at 44.
Bracken is...
Okay, let's go backwards, and then I'll guess number one. Let's go backwards.
That's what you were aiming for, right?
Let's go backwards, then we'll get number one.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
This is individual podiums, because there have been a couple, like, team races.
Fuck that.
I ignored those.
Ignore all of it.
Yeah. Okay. Bracken, 44.
Okay.
Hobie, 48.
Okay. Hobie is 6th all time in
all
podiums.
Time.
Amazing.
Yep. Tied for 4th, technically, so 4 and 5 right here. Ryan Kent and Elliot McGuire with 49.
Elliot would be thrilled to know that.
I know.
That he's still hanging on.
And guess who's one ahead of them?
Wait. Let's back up. Elliot ran on a lot of Sundays. Are you sure? Elliot ran a lot of Sundays.
Here is every.
I don't want to see it. I don't
geez.
want to spoil it.
Well, all right.
This is fun.
I was going to show you. Yeah, he ran a lot of Sundays for sure.
And we're not counting those.
So Elliot has 11 wins, 23 seconds, and 15 third places
On Saturday.
Oh, I didn't filter it on Saturday.
Okay, so then that
I mean, a lot of these people double up because they get sponsor bonuses or matches.
But I'm saying there's a lot of guys that cherry pick the Sundays, but they're so okay. So
these next three are not just cherry picking; they're clearly making it.
Okay, but that's still impressive. That's still impressive that Elliot. If Elliot hung in for another year, even he'd be up there.
I don't think he could duplicate that in 2018 though. 2013 there were 15 good guys, and it's who's traveling as much as him.
Exactly. All right, but still good for you, Elliot.
So number 3 with 50 is Robert Killian.
Okay.
Number 2,
right,
with 71 career podiums is Isaiah.
Hang on. So if it's somebody more than Isaiah, wow. But again, you're counting.
This is the all-time. Isaiah is the all-time U.S.
So Isaiah's the all-time U.S.
All-time U.S.
He's number 2. You just said.
Yeah, he's number 1 worldwide. Is not U.S. based, but he's had a 6th or 7th place at Tahoe before. Mainly races.
I thought we were just talking about U.S. guys right now.
Okay, so Isaiah is the all-time U.S. winner. He has 21 more podiums than anyone else in U.S. history.
Who's number 2?
Killian.
And who's number 3?
Kent and Elliott.
Wow.
And then number 1 worldwide is Peter Ziska with 73.
Okay.
And this was as of like the end of October. So Isaiah just got a couple at Fenway, so he's probably tied unless Peter has done something recently in Europe. So
okay, so where are Woods and Atkins?
Woods and Atkins.
Now, Atkins spent a year winning Battle Frog, so that cost him.
Well,
because that was like 30 Battle Frogs.
Exactly. Yeah, he did well for himself. Most career first place titles, Hobie has 43.
Okay.
Out of the U.S. We'll ignore Peter. Peter's just because winning everything. Ryan Kent has 34. Robert Killian 29. This is through like the just before Halloween, so after Tahoe, but it doesn't include some of the November races. So these might be like 1 or 2 off at this point. So other people in the U.S. with more than 20 wins for guys: Isaiah, Angel, Bracken, and Brian Gowiski.
Yeah, Jackson, come on over here. We're talking about who's won the most races and stuff.
I might say, what's it called? I might think.
He's getting there.
Can you give me another question?
What do you want to talk about?
Racing.
Okay, why don't you hold the microphone for a second? Can we break it down by 2018 or 2017? Like, who's the last 3 years? Who's won the most in the last 3 years?
Just career podiums.
Last 3 years.
Podiums since 2013.
Hold the mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to add that filter.
Is there anything you want to ask him? You want to ask Jack Bauer anything?
Have you won any like world stuff with Smarter?
Yeah, I've got all that stuff.
I was asking you personally.
Oh, sorry. What was the last?
Have you won anything at like races and gotten like, some?
Yeah, so I'm probably like ranked number 300th or so in career podiums. I've had a couple. Yeah, I've had a couple podiums in Spartan Race. Of Warrior Dash doesn't really count for that. I've won like 3. I've won 3 of them. I've had a few Spartan Race podiums this year. You want a freak anomaly? I have not missed a single obstacle this entire year. No burpees at all. I have got 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th in my races. Every single number from 4 to 11, except for on the podium, and I got 2 podiums last year. Each of those races I burpeed in. So, yeah. So that's my stuff. How about you? You have any kids' podiums? Do you think you could beat?
Do I, Dad?
Yes, you do.
What do you think you could beat your dad in? Like if it's some sport?
I could beat him in football.
Oh yeah. How come?
Because I'm good at juking.
Oh yeah. So he's bad at juking.
Actually, I could beat him in a dancing contest.
Oh. That's awesome. I believe it. Yeah. And I heard you like rap music also.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Nice. Well, yeah. You got any more questions on? Nah. Sweet.
Okay. Only if you talk like a big.
Did you win any races?
The one race that I have won.
One outright
is the hit and run 5K, which was a really bad version of like ridiculous obstacle race. And I took off with these 3 young guys, and like we were all in the front, but then they kind of broke off at some point, and so I won that outright. A non-timed, an untimed race.
Still counts.
I mean, I know I was the first one in that day.
And I didn't find you when we didn't find you on that sliding thing. And when we go to with that adults.
Do you think you'll ever do a Savage race?
Yes.
No, he got scared last time.
Savage Race is an awesome race.
No.
Oh yeah.
All right, you guys, we're gonna get back to work.
No, I did not go to, and I did not run any races because I was too scared. Maybe when I'm turn 6, I might.
In 17 and 18 total.
Yeah. It's got to be Killian, right? For what we've learned about.
I'd say since he races more than everybody, that would definitely make sense. So.
And when is all-time winnings going to be in there?
All-time winning. So I'm coming up with that.
Again, if you knew what Spartan paid out in various years.
That's the thing, because they change it. Like one year it was $250 for second place, and it was $200. You can't find that info as you've struggled with.
You've got to talk to like a Bracken and say, Bracken, do you remember what it was? And he guesses.
Yeah. So.
I was trying to get Amelia. I was trying to ask Amelia, like, "Hey, Amelia, when did you win the points championship?" She's like, "I think I've won it twice."
Yeah,
like before they started doing it the way they're doing it now.
Oh yeah, and then they have like random ones where there was a race sponsored by some credit union where it's like, all right, this one's worth $2,000, and then it's like, how do you know that? So in 2018, Killian won 19 in 2017.
From all time to 2015 through 2018. That's all I was saying.
All right.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I've got it right here. Killian, 37 for the past 3 years. Peter Ziska, 35. Brian Gowiski, 30.
Brian Gowiski, second most U.S. podiums in the last 3 years.
Not including this past month. So if he... I think like Ryan Kent or Isaiah probably moved up a couple. But no, he'll still be 30, yeah. And then Ryan Kent, Isaiah... they've got 26, a couple guys in Europe.
All right. When you've got this thing more searchable.
I've got it right here.
When you don't have to stop every 5 seconds to search it, we could do a whole podcast on this. This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah. And I've got stuff like who are the only people who have podiumed at every single Spartan distance, like a stadium through Ultra Beast, every single one of them.
So who's that person?
There's 7 people.
7 people that have done them all?
Who do you think has?
Well, Killian has.
Yeah.
Isaiah has.
Correct.
7 people.
Mm-hmm. You were going to be shocked when you hear a couple of these names.
Well, I don't think Atkins did a stadium.
He actually did in Australia.
Okay, so he counts?
Yep.
Okay. So I've got half of them already.
That's 3.
Are these males or females
Males.
or both?
I've got the male page pulled up right now.
So who else runs all distances? Bracken? No, Bracken's never done an Ultra Beast.
Yeah, the first Vermont.
Bracken, good call. Good job. All right, we got 4.
Okay, one of them's in Australia. You probably haven't heard of him, but he won the that OCR Enduro championship.
Okay.
Lackland Danzy.
Okay.
He's really good. He actually won that race and beat Atkins and Albin and everybody. Right. So there are 2 more in the U.S. One of them thinking OG.
It's not Yancey, is it?
No. He's from your original neck of the woods.
Races still or doesn't race still?
Rarely these days, but
Jung Young Pak?
Mm-hmm. He's one of them. And then the other guy.
Did Jung Young do a stadium?
Yeah, he's Fenway. He's podiumed a couple times.
Okay.
The last remaining person, Miguel Medina.
Miguel Medina.
The man who shit in a wetsuit.
Yep. Well, lots of people have shit in a wetsuit.
Yeah, I know. But he told me that story and I lost it because I didn't know that people did that. And now I know people do that.
So what stadium race did he do?
City Field.
Back in the day.
Like 2013
Back in the day.
Yeah, with him and Hunter. Like I said, people couldn't duplicate this as often these days just with how deep the fields are versus then. Like I have a feeling if you're middle...
Yeah, Bracken's not doing an Ultra Beast to save his life.
No,
if you paid him, he wouldn't do it.
Exactly. But like if you took the 50th best person right now, brought him back to 2012, there'd be a contender for a podium at the World Championships,
right?
Or at least top. That's just showing how deep the field. And the women's is just like accelerating even more
because it's so crazy.
Much depth. Yeah, they were a couple of years behind the curve, but like the depth of competition on the women's side is just insane.
But will you go back and do lifetime earnings? Will you try to?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yeah, but like we were mentioning, who knows how much they pay at
so
these?
Between, I don't know about 11 or 12, and I know in 13 they finally said, "Oh, we're going to pay for," because it used to be just
the credit union ones paid.
Yeah.
So some of them didn't.
So
you just
Hope-
got a fucking head. You got a skull. You got a giant mask. But then they finally, I think 2013.
So what happened?
Koba would know that.
What happened with Hobie during that first year where he was trying to win all the where they made him do the death race and stuff? So he was only getting paid at a couple of these, yet he was traveling around doing all that. You remember the first year where he had to go like 15 for 15 and win the death race? He literally was not getting paid at these?
No. But Joe was flying him around, I think.
Okay, just as a promotional thing or something.
Yeah.
I know he like sold the I know like the general outside of the story,
But at one point it was a big deal when they said, okay, we're finally going to do paid podium in every race.
Yeah.
And then the credit union ones will bump up to 2000.
Got it.
And then, of course, the World Championship. Now, here's the thing. I was just thinking out loud about how we can work together.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we can talk more off the record. But because, I wanted just a page with just the majors on it. Who won?
Did you see Yancey Camp today?
Are you going to interrupt me?
No.
Yep, totally went to Yancey Camp today. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. I check Yancey Camp. It's in my favorites.
Sorry. But we released it today.
And what is it?
It's the top 10 at every single major Spartan race ever.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I've got a page with just the podium.
Yep.
For what I'm calling the majors, right? OCR
Yeah.
World Championship, World's Toughest, and then I wanted to break down the championship series, and that's kind of it, just kind of the big ones. Yeah. So if I can, and I've done that just my own, but if you help me with some of that, and then I said, hey, for more. And then I
go to Yancey Camp or for the full details. Yeah. We can talk about that later for sure.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Because that's what just because
it's so tough to find the old stuff that I just want it's championship season. The buzz is going around. Just go here. You don't have to search for it on your own.
But that's the problem is that every year I will Google and oftentimes it's me.
Yeah.
I have that information, but I didn't know it because I wasn't really using tags.
Exactly. No, but we're not the only people who wanted it. I'm sure plenty of people who won in 2013, who did
I'm saying 17.
Yeah,
2 years ago, you type in. So if you type in Spartan World Championship, okay, it's 2017. The first thing you're going to see is a shitload of Spartan content that's SEO'd appropriately, but none of it's that stats. You'll eventually hit like in a Mud Run Guide article, which is like just the press release, or my article, right?
Yep.
Which is like I might have written a little more about it.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: even when a race happens, I'll email Spartan and be like, great, do you have the update on the points? No.
Yep.
Right? It's not until one of those videos will come out where they'll say oh, this is who's racing for the finals. And even then I'm like, so great, can I have a layout?
And they just see the video or, figure it out type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely talk about that.
That's the kind of stuff that matters to me. And there isn't, like I said, there isn't as many people that want to go, I think, as far back necessarily. Yeah. But it should exist.
There should be a historical record. No one knows who led the league in ERA in 1922 in the National League. But guess what? Those stats exist just in case somebody wants to find that out. And OCR should have that database leading up there. So, same page.
Just don't combine with the OCR report.
Is that the Will Hicks
project?
That's
the Will Hicks thing.
Okay, gotcha. I still got to listen to that episode. But
which one?
The one that you just did with Will Hicks.
Oh, dude, it's phenomenal.
Okay.
It's a riot.
10 out of 10. All right, what's your podium of all-time episodes hosted?
Well, I asked some people I'm in a group with, what do you think?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's funny because, everyone says Battle Frog number one. Battle Frog number one.
Oh, yeah.
But some people...
In terms of train wreck episodes, nothing could compete with that.
Well, some people... I've had some people say, oh, I really like that one with Woods and the other guy. And I'm like, that's not even me.
Yeah.
Right? That's Will Hicks.
You're facilitating a conversation at that point, but they're quality. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's not my episode. Will Hicks hosted Evan Purpurus versus Ryan Woods.
Oh, dude, that was
I'm saying, but people think it's my show
because you organized or recommended it and stuff. Yeah.
Because that's just how people remember. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, no, that's not me. That's Will's show.
Yeah.
But I think if you ask people to name the top 10, they might be like, oh, didn't you do that one? And I'm like, no, that's not mine.
Yeah. But this is you. You've hosted. Which ones
do I think are my favorites?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's skewed completely different.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the Ryan episodes are a lot of fun, but people enjoy them way more than I do. I know they're fun, but people are like, oh my God, they're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, anytime you can bust out a Kermit the Frog impersonation.
Well, and now that's getting so old.
Yeah. You did it yesterday, which is pretty funny.
Well, because I had to.
Yeah.
Because I saw this medal.
Yeah, it looks just like
doesn't it?
Maple leaf. Right
doesn't
there.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey Jack, what's going on here?
Right?
Yeah.
By the way, is there a dumber name for a marathon? The Invesco QQQ half marathon?
Who passed that? That's garbage, but some company, but what are you looking at?
So, I don't know if you saw my story, but I literally thought it was an error because that's like in the subject line, QQQ Invesco.
Someone fell asleep on the keyboard. It was,
right.
Yeah.
And like, no, that's a product. That's one of their investment
like
products.
Rakuten?
Worse than Rakuten, because at least you can, even if you say it wrong, it's okay.
Yeah.
QQQ
You
is...
don't accidentally pronounce QQQ.
It's dumb.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Your
favorites. You're just what's your favorite of all time? Just a single one. We won't go 3.
Well, again, it's like it's really
depends on.
It's really hard. Like there aren't a lot I've gone back and listened to.
Yeah.
But whenever I have, I've really enjoyed it because it's fun. Yeah. So like listening to World's Toughest 2012 is a hoot.
Yeah.
Go listen to that.
Oh yeah. No,
it's amazing.
And the sport has changed so much since then.
It's
your interview style. You've improved a ton. I think like the quality of OCR podcasts has gone up so much versus not just you from like the Matt B. Davis runs days and stuff,
right.
But just like in general, people. I think a lot of people are realizing they just don't want to hear what's your training style, how many miles a week do you. It's so boring,
right?
And, but like Heather's a lot better of an interviewer.
Dude, I just listened to Heather talk to Devin, and I gotta say, Heather, I was gonna send you a text. You killed it.
Her earlier stuff was just like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna make it, but now it's like, okay, you're on my weekly listen to stuff. So she's
right, and it's hard to say that to somebody. It's kind of like, hey, you lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah,
like it's hard to say, like somebody
you were once,
But I mean, I think I said that to her. I said, listen, you can't just agree with people and repeat what they say.
Yeah,
like,
but no, she's night and day difference, and it's definitely
no. That's a great. She asked questions that she clearly thought of that I'm not sure I would ask.
Yeah.
No, I think like she's just gotten better at it, which I think, by the way, like is possible if you're paying attention. Like people that suck at it now, like they could be better, but they just choose not to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? They just like they don't try to get better at it. I actually got schooled big time, dude. Did you listen to?
I listened to one where you read your honest review about your like somebody posted that about the not editing and stuff, and you're like, you're right. I was like, oh man, Matt's going down this rabbit hole right now, but it was a solid episode.
Well, I listened to I talked to this guy Anders Varner. He hosts something called Barbell Shrugged.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, usually when Hunter's on it or something.
Right.
He's such a good interview.
Right.
But yeah, no matter what you're talking about, it's just
he's awesome.
Yeah.
But I had him on my show, and we talked for
on
like
the ATL.
No, on ORM. And
was that like a month or so ago?
I haven't aired it yet.
Okay, because never mind. I'm thinking of a different.
It's okay. So I haven't aired it yet, and we talked for probably close to 3 hours. So it's going to be like the longest episode I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to break it up either. I'm just going to be like, you know what? Here you go.
Go for it. Yeah.
But he talked about like getting better at hosting. And I'm like, yeah, and I just wing it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, maybe you shouldn't. Like, what if you, like, didn't say that? What if you were a guy that, like, actually got better at it? And I was like, oh, what? Like, you just blew my fucking mind, bro.
Yeah, that's possible? What?
Right, seriously.
Yeah, no, I know. Because so many people are like, all right, here's how I've always been doing it. Not just about hosting a podcast, like eating style, exercise, like what they do on a daily basis when they come home from work. Oh, I've always done it this way. But there are better ways to do it, and if you just open that Pandora's box, you're gonna go down a different path.
Well, the way he said it was, which really kind of like, he said maybe you should break up with that guy, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like, wow, because
referring to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said. And because I think, like, obviously my style does, like, there are a lot of things that work about it.
Yeah.
Right? Clearly there are a lot of things that work about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you listen to me and Will Hicks, we are not talking about OCR for 90% of the conversation, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, do you think people want to hear this? And I said,
it's conversational. That's what people want to hear.
I'm pretty sure they will. So for me, that doesn't mean it works for him or for anybody else or whatever. But there are ways that I can get better as a host, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
as a way of delivering information. There's just ways I can get better.
And I don't want you spoiling that whole episode. And
No,
you don't need to go too far down that rabbit hole. But
right,
I totally hear. Isn't it crazy when you like just there's a bunch of self-help stuff out there and all these like recommended ways to do this, but most of those it's just going to go right over your head. But when you hear that one thing that actually clicks, it's just earth-shattering.
But it's also like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Like I was ready to hear that on a day. Like
it's true. No one just presented it correctly for you to interpret it at that point.
Right. And I like my respect for this guy and the way this conversation had gone. And I think it'll be a really, we'll see. I think it'll be a really, be a really good
I'll listen to it for sure.
Awesome. So are you going to do Toughest Mudder, World's Toughest Mudder?
No, I'm never doing that. I do short stuff.
Right. But you're clearly not good at TMX, right?
I'm mid-pack.
I only said that to bust
want me to show up at
I do. You're great. You're a great content source.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how else would we have had the
No, we've bonded, dude. Yeah, we've absolutely bonded.
Definitely. That moment like sealed our friendship.
Absolutely. I laughed out. If I can laugh at a moment the second time through, then solid.
It
so you're
works.
No, Jack. You're whether you did data shit or not, you're good with me.
Sweet.
You're
Awesome.
aces with me.
Yeah. No, I would say honestly, I've still got a little bit of time on my side where I can be explosive, and so I just want to do stadiums and TMX and the shorter stuff.
What's your best stadium finish?
I just finished 6th in the series.
Okay.
Brian Kent got hurt; he would have been ahead of me. And honestly, a couple people like Hunter rolled his ankle early on. You had to be at all three, so he would have been. He was winning the race when he did that.
So
I got 6th place at Fenway. So, and then like a couple of right on the 10 range or so. But they're deep fields. Those are actually the deepest
If you came in 2012, dominance.
Dude, people would know my name.
They would know your name.
It would be crazy because people still, I mean, Amelia is a very, very talented, she's probably still one of the top 10, but people still think of her on like the Lindsay level. She's not. Like Lindsay is the greatest of all time.
We can't open that can of worms right now.
I know. I'm just saying that people remember the old stuff and translate it to today.
It gets worse for Amelia. Because guess who else exists now?
Who?
Rhea Coble.
Oh, well, yeah, I know.
So Rhea wins next year.
3 in a row, and
then she's past Amelia, right, against a tougher field.
Yeah.
And honestly,
they've
Rhea,
both done it at 2 venues also.
And Rhea also, it's one of those. It's like when a team like kills it and they're young, and you go, dude, how many championships might
like
they
the Red
win?
Sox, right, or the Warriors?
Except it changes. In team sports, it's way different.
Yeah.
But on an individual level, barring injury, she is so much better. Now, forget the bad news that happened with Allison. Like, and her not going back out, blah, blah, blah. But Rhea could have gone back out too.
Yeah.
So she's a lap ahead. It's not really close.
Yeah.
Right. And Allison's amazing and will have her day, I really hope.
I hope so. She's a Ryan Atkins equivalent.
Right?
Yeah.
But Rhea could easily win like several years in a row. Right?
Yeah. And she got hurt at the beginning of the year and still came back and did. So even if she gets hurt, it's not really costing her that much.
So yeah, so I think Lindsay absolutely is better than Amelia all time.
Yeah.
However, Amelia gets in the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Benny,
and she paved the way.
Yep.
Is it on Benny's podcast?
It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of OCR?
This is a great question.
Yeah.
This is a really great question.
And don't limit it to Spartan. Just any.
Why would I limit it to Spartan?
Okay, just make something.
You and Yancey are over there limited to Spartan
at the moment. Yeah, but anyway, who would your Mount Rushmore be?
All right, so let's go Amelia, Hunter, Atkins.
No. Break it down by gender.
There's 2 different ones.
Yeah, there's a female Mount Rushmore and a male Mount Rushmore.
So male,
obviously, you put Amelia on there.
Well, no, we'll do the men first.
Okay.
So men is Hobie, Hunter, Atkins. Okay, those are your 3 right away. Like this is like who's done the best, who's done the most for the sport. And then who are the other 2 spots?
Well, there's 4 on Mount Rushmore, so
there's only 4.
You're kind of in trouble. Yeah, I
thought you get 5.
How about who is on Mount Rushmore? Let's do that question.
Okay, who's out? I thought you get 5.
No, it's 4. You're looking it up. All right.
Okay, who's out? Who's on Mount Rushmore?
Who the actual ones?
Yeah.
George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and Roosevelt. Right.
There are 4 heads on South Dakota. Okay, what did you guess again?
George Washington,
correct.
Jefferson,
correct.
Lincoln,
correct.
Roosevelt.
Correct. You nailed it. All right. So you only get 4?
Yeah.
So if you only get 4, you got Hobie, Hunter, Atkins.
Whew. You're not putting Albin on there?
Oh, you didn't let me think.
Okay. Well, I
You're
would
really
have
bad at
I would
this
have put
game.
him right at the beginning.
You're really bad at this game.
Yeah. Okay.
Here,
I'll
so it's got to be those four. Today, it's those four.
What about Killian? What about Cody Moat? Just
Nope.
naming some
Nope.
other names. Okay.
You might want to name Pac, but they don't make it either. You got to
You'd
stick.
put Pac in that category?
I'd say in terms of like the guy won World's Toughest twice and was the first people a lot of people knew.
I know.
He's a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't get on Mount
You're
Rushmore.
more for like accomplishments as opposed to statistical dominance. Contribution. That's what you're more for.
But again, this is why we have these sports debates, right?
Exactly.
But if you already did this with Benny, and I feel like you're sloppy seconds, I don't even want to do this with you right now.
Oh no, he wasn't a good interview for this topic
because he doesn't know anything past that happened last year.
I don't know. He had a different outlook on it, but his was like more short course and stuff. But I would say mine, Hobie and Albin, without question.
Absolutely.
Atkins,
right.
Also.
Right.
It is really, really. I know exactly what you're saying with like. I don't know if Hunter is. He's so dominant at what he does. It would be a toss up between him and Killian. And honestly, yeah, I'd probably go Hunter now that I think about it. Over Killian. Killian's just, he races more than everybody. He just dominates everything. He's won the Spartan Race Championship. He's only had like 2 races where he hasn't been in a podium at one of these elite things, and he's actually has a better head-to-head record than Hunter. But Hunter crosses over to all spectrums.
Right.
And I don't think Hunter has ever lost a Tough Mudder, anything within their brand race ever.
I think he lost.
Or he did 50 miles at one World's Toughest Mudder. I take it back. But I think that he was like on the winning team. He got like 80 miles. He's beat Atkins head to head in all of his like the tougher championship things, and he's never lost TMX. He's won a couple of the other ones. So I think
Did he lose to Hobie and Tougher, or was that
he won that.
That was the rock paper scissors.
Yeah, he won that. So
interesting.
Yeah, actually, I would probably switch out Killian on it, but this is such a tough call. Only because Killian has consistently always been like.
And we only have 6 years of a sport even to deal with.
I know. And 5 years from now, people are going to be like, all right, it's probably Albin. Who's going to be that next guy who just replaces it?
Which is why we get so excited when somebody new comes
exactly.
in. Right? Like this girl, Erin Rost. Right?
Yeah.
Hooray.
Who, I didn't know who she was coming in.
Right. She blew everybody's pool.
So let's go to the women. Who would be on yours?
But let's back up a little bit, because even when Faye was new, it was like, now Faye is what, like in her third or fourth year?
So Faye, she was getting like top 12, she had like a couple of really good top or Killington finishes before she was Faye. And like she was definitely noticed for the right reasons. But once she kind of gained that popularity and got on the pro team and stuff, that's when people really started to recognize she was on her way up. So
okay.
Yeah.
So for women, I can't feel like we can do it.
Lindsay, no doubt.
Well, Amelia and Lindsay, no doubt. And then after that, who knows?
I would say Rose and maybe Zuzana. She's won European OCR championships. She's won Spartans.
Rose Wetzel.
Yeah.
How many races has Rose won in your thing?
I'll have to load that. I don't want to pause time. She's won a lot. This is going to take me a couple minutes.
I feel like Rose did really well for a couple of years.
Uh-huh.
And then...
What about someone like Kate Kramer, who's just the Hunter version for the short courses in general?
I mean, I know her name.
Okay. So she's not on your list. Would you put Susanna, Lindsay, and Amelia? April kind of disappeared.
I don't put Susanna on there.
Really?
As the greatest of all time?
She's destroyed Tahoe every year. She has basically never lost in Europe. She's won the European
Okay, you just said every year except for 2018 and 2017.
Oh, yeah, she did lose 17. But she's second place. How
many races does she run a year?
She just won the Greek trifecta. She's probably done like 7 or 8 this year. And she also has won the European OCR championship and got second last year. She's not just like a one-trick pony with Spartan. So
how does she do at OCR World Champs?
Probably like 6th or so.
Hey, let's do a quick break to thank this month's Patreon sponsors. This show is now made possible by so many Patreon members. The January shoutouts, are you ready? Brad Keel, Will Chung, David Cantu, Jessica Johnston, Jason Zaleski, Benton Wolverton, John Richard Tackett, Kyle Jingaliski, Rachel Miranda, Stuart Clark, Kim DeVos, Bethany Shimmer, Brian Reynolds, Christian Michael, Christopher McLeod, Dave Claxton, Joseph Carollo, Ken Maliz, Mike O'Farrell, Randy Seeley, Samantha Thompson, Scott Carter, Steve Rye, Tony Mayer, Scott Forrester, Ryan Maisano, Scott Sebastian, Matthew Punton, OCR Talk, Sophia Harnedy, Jeff Schoaf, Eric Marin, Sean Rumbo, Dan the Man, Christopher Stevens, Brad Halwigan, Eric Wilkin. That's everybody. Oh, and Will Hicks, who's chosen a weird way to donate, and we'll allow it because we love Will Hicks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want your name mentioned on the weekly or monthly shoutouts, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/obstacle racing media. Have you enjoyed all this bloody content we give you week in, week out? Well, this is how you can support it. Part of the cool kids, plus get your name in the hat for the drawings. We give away free races, free shower togas, free shoes. We give away a lot of cool free stuff. And it keeps me really connected to you guys. There's a special face group now where we all interact. And I just feel super connected to you guys week in, week out with this stuff. Thank you so much for supporting. And now back to Matt and Jack talking stats. Okay, go ahead and read the stats for the people.
Okay. Zuzana, 2016 OCR European champion first. She got fourth at the 2016 15K at OCR World. She won the team competition. Then she got second at the European OCR Championship in 2017. She got fourth in the 3K and 26th at the 15K, so she probably got stuck on some obstacle. This past year, she got fifth in the 15K and sixth in the 3K. So add that to her Spartan history. I think she's on there.
But do you think for most American audience, it's kind of like saying, you know,
here's the thing:
an MLS team is as good as the Cavs or the Lakers because an
MLS team as good as the Cavs. How's that work?
2 years ago, Cavs.
A soccer team as good as the Cavs.
Right. That's what I'm saying. To most American audience, that's what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Like say that's if you said, I think the Kansas Sporting KC is as good as the Boston Red Sox. That's what it's like saying. Like, but nobody in America knows. So I'm saying,
but that's the thing. So many people, not just OCR. It's just like, oh well, here's the best four in America. Those are the best. Albin, look what he's doing. He's not from the U.S. Matt Murphy in Australia, he podiumed at Tahoe or Killington before. Susanna from Europe won Tahoe a couple times. OCR Worlds is dominated by Canadians, and like you can't just look at only the Americans for the best. Like you can't take away Susanna's accomplishments. It's
I'm
impressive.
agreeing with you. I'm saying most Americans wouldn't care.
Oh, I know. I'm just backing it up that I think she should be on the Mount Rushmore.
So Aaron Newell said.
Oh, he stirs things up online.
Oh, he's awesome.
I've never met him.
Said races can never be short. Races can be short, but never too long. Maybe it was all in the tangents. That's what he said to me to solve my. So he's on the tangents trip as well. Mm-hmm. Drop the hammers in the gold standard zone. I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah.
What's the gold standard?
Is that on the Yancey thing?
What's the gold standard zone?
So basically, I've got those ratings, and if you are like a 96 or above, there's only a few people who are really there. You're gonna get like gold. That's your representative relative zone. So you're probably gonna be a top 10 contender at almost every single major, or a podium contender at every single major race, no matter who shows up. I'm on the mic.
We're here with Jack Bauer.
Yeah.
We're talking stats.
Damn right.
We're talking gold standard zone.
And if you're doing silver, it's kind of like that next pack between where you're in the 10 to 20 range overall, and then you're going to have the bronze, which is that you're probably going to be a podium threat at a normal weekend race, like when everyone's at West Virginia or something, but you're not going to dominate when all the good people show up, but you're still a very legitimate racer. And then there's a few other tiers underneath that.
So how does he know about this? How does Kent know about this already?
Oh, no. Yancey and the coder assigned it. Oh, man, I can't hear myself and then talk.
How does Kent know this, though?
He will know. We released this like 2 hours ago, if that. So this is all new. We'll be pumping it up on social media pretty soon.
What are you, Jack _Bauer?
Jack _Bauer _OCR.
What happened to 24?
That's like my. I don't really post OCR one just with my friends because I'm sure
Jack _Bauer
_OCR. Because you know how difficult it is to get anything Jack Bauer related. Like, they've all been snatched up for the past 15 years. Yeah, that's correct.
Why is it not coming up, though?
At Bauer. Come on, man.
Sorry.
Jeez, if you spell it wrong again, I'm going to tell everyone your middle name.
But here's the thing.
if not for a television show, then you'd just be you. Like when you were a kid, there was no such thing.
How many? Well, 24 came out in 2001, so I was 12 years old when that happened. I didn't think that the show was going to blow up and that I needed to lock down all emails at that time. I wasn't even like, they didn't even have internet back
So you're
then.
saying you have 2 Instagram accounts?
Yes, one is because I'm sure you can relate. It's either all OCR, and it's like I just want to see how my friends are doing outside of OCR. So that's why I have the 2. So the Jack_Bauer.24 or whatever.
But I know you as Jack Bauer 24.
Yeah. Okay.
I had this exact conversation with Allison Ty after World Stuff His Mother, who changed her Instagram from Yo Mama So Fit, which is great, and what she's known for,
definitely,
to Allison like OCR or something. I'm like,
she wanted to separate the 2. Or?
No, she changed it, and I said that was a bad idea.
No, Yo Mama So Fit. I know who that is.
That's what I said. Yeah. You're Jack Bauer OCR.
Yeah. That's like Ryan Kent. He better stay Drop the Hammer because he's Drop the Hammer.
Right. So but I'm saying you're Jack Bauer 24.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, I get tagged and stuff interchangeably, so
but I guess it's a slightly different with you.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're saying this because
just for clarity,
it proves my point with I might have to actually edit this episode too, which is a bummer. Created a lot of work for myself because my kids came in.
Sorry, man. We should have put a padlock on the door. But.
No. The kids come in. It's fine. It's that I just got distracted.
Yeah. No, I don't want to bore everybody. If you need to cut it off, I don't care.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I did forget where we were, though.
We were finishing Mount Rushmore, and then you were talking about, you just recorded me talking about the gold standard, and then we were getting off on something else.
So you're releasing data that says these people are in the gold standard. I don't think top 10 should be gold. I think podium should be gold standard.
Pull up yancycamp.com, because I don't have your Wi-Fi password.
Okay, he's coming around. He's looking at all my
on
porn.
The other side of the desk. Man, Matt getting notifications left and right.
Yancey
Camp. Just go to Yancey Camp right there. Yeah.
By the way, how are you guys on social?
It's
not social. Sorry. How are you on search?
Click on that.
I know, but how are you on search?
What do you mean?
Like, if I type in OCR training or OCR coaching.
Oh, just Yancey Spartan Rankings. It's going to pull it up.
I'm asking you, Jack Bauer.
Yes.
How is Yancey Camp on search in the internet?
I don't know. Here's the Google Analytics from the page, like right after. Is that what you're looking for? Stuff like that.
Okay.
Not following it, man.
So, how do people know you exist if I don't tell you that Yancey Camp exists? You guys got Dakota? Good job.
Yeah. So rankings right there on the top tab. Yeah.
Right. I don't think you can answer my question, and I don't think you care.
Sorry, man. Scroll up. Go to the click here to learn more, and then this right here. That is like the what you are.
Okay. But it doesn't say gold, silver. It just has numbers.
Okay. That's got to be updated then.
Okay. So, yeah, you want to have strong podium contender and podium contender. I think that's too many categories.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you want to have gold, silver, bronze, right?
But gold, silver, bronze is mainly for like the upper people. Everyone, like if you're the middle of the pack in most regular season events, you're not bronze. I don't know.
This is way too many categories. What's the difference between a strong podium contender and a podium contender? I mean, come on. Name a podium contender?
I would
strong
right here.
Contender.
Strong podium contender. You're looking at like a Cody Mode or an Atkins.
Okay.
The 96 to 97 range is like a Ryan Kempson or an Ian Hosick. Like they're probably not going to podium at that major event, but you know they're going to be in the mix. They're always going to be like a top 10 threat.
How can Ian Kempson or how can Ian Hosick be a podium contender at any race?
He is. Guy's legit. I mean, he got like 8th at Tahoe, and
8th at Tahoe is not podium, or close to the podium.
He was close to podium at a lot of the U.S. Series races, and just in
What's
general.
What's close to the podium?
5th.
So he's never once podiumed at an event that you're saying he's a podium contender for.
Contender, which means that if someone has like a bad day, does burpee, because that's what these races are coming down to. You'll have a 2-minute spread for like.
But I'm trying to be the audience here and show you the flaw in this.
Okay, we'll work on the wording. We'll talk about that after, just to kind of narrow it down instead of like 6 groupings or something. Get it down to like 3.
3 or 4.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, like having conversations like this, I'm not trying to be defensive, but like you helping me out like this, because a lot of people are probably going to be thinking the same thing.
He is the exact thing, which is the next line. He is a top 10 contender in West National Series.
So maybe group that 96 plus in one instead of...
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's like best of the best.
Okay.
You just described is him being top 10 at all those things.
Got it.
If he sneaks onto the podium, great.
Yeah.
But he's not.
But
he's a top 10.
In the average, he's probably going to be... Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
So, all right. That's all. It's just, I'm right all the time. That's all you ever need to understand. So let's get back to get back to. So we'll close it up on this.
Yep.
I've got people doing the world's toughest data, which apparently you've done it as well.
Yeah, and I shared some of that, like who's done the most miles,
right?
And stuff. Yeah.
So I have 3 or 4 guys right now going into all of it, right? And one of the guys is like, I've got cool software, I can do all this cool shit. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think we're gonna move to more of the I think yours is more, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like I just want a few broad strokes.
Yeah.
I never want to get as deep in the woods as you're getting.
Gotcha.
I like attendance numbers, money winners, like most podiums, that kind of stuff is
like a running average. Like here's who's won the most money this year, and then at the end of the year, add the points series. Just cool basic facts like that.
Yeah, I don't think I need the data that
you don't want to know, like how many good people showed up or like what % of the winning time. That you don't care about stuff.
That
like
stuff,
that.
right?
Yeah,
you are all about that.
Yeah,
because you're all about.
This is like giving everybody did you ever play Madden football, like NFL?
Yes.
So everybody in that game has like, a 0 to 100 rating, and like, Tom Brady's the 100, and that's like the Ryan Atkins level.
Right.
And I think a lot of people want to see like how they actually are relative, but you have a kind of a false perception. It's like if you run the Illinois race where it's the same day as a big race and you get 30th, you're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good. But it's like, that doesn't mean that every single person who is capable of getting a 30th place that race showed up. So this is kind of just grouping you, and we narrow those down, and then it kind of gives you a little better perception. And I think the long-term thing would be like helping this data getting like the pro card or how they've talked about something like that for a while. And this is like concrete, like here's who's actually showing up.
Spartan should write you guys a check or several checks. Like that's certainly like the go for.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have discussions with them, and like Yancey's got good connections. He's already talked with them in meetings and stuff.
No, Yancey, dude, I don't doubt for a second.
Yeah,
like Yancey will get,
and we are not trying to like take over or anything. We're just like seeing what's there and then deciding what to do with it at the moment.
No, I think sadly Spartan will do it much later than sooner. If they were smart, they would immediately start working with you guys and say, you know what, in this year, like this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And this is how it's going to set the table for 2020.
Yeah.
But they're way too slow, and so they won't.
Here's what I want. It's like, start line. They'll show like, all right, here we are in Utah. Here are the 5 men to watch. Instead, it's like you have like a tracking blip on the course, and it shows like, all right, Atkins is a 99 and so-and-so is a 97. Wow, he's really outperforming himself this day.
Right.
They'll have data like that in the commentary. If they've done a lot better job in like their live feeds and stuff, but if you can incorporate some real numbers instead of like, well, Chronotrack, which is 20 minutes late updating, said that this person is now in 5th place. It's like, if you have some stuff on there.
No, but I'm just saying, even for this concept of how you have a real sport.
Got it. Yeah.
Is like the pro card versus like all the fucking wannabes that are like in the elite heat that don't even necessarily need to be there.
Yeah, and it's not to like shit on them or anything, because I mean, that's who makes the sport, like the general masses and stuff. But it's maybe cap the elite heat, like, all right, only 25 people really, really deserve that. If you want to run early, we'll send you off 5 minutes later, but don't get in the way, because I routinely start in like row 2 because you have all like the CrossFit meatheads and stuff just like blocking you, and I'm like, dude, you're like 6'4", 230 pounds. You're not going to be running a 6-minute mile like this entire time. So why are you blocking Mark Batris from being? You're not going to outpace him. So stuff like that, where it's like you just have the call up essentially. That would be kind of cool, being able to straight just give the numbers. These are the people who deserve to be here, and then everyone else kind of sees how they are relatively. And you'll be able to move up and down. Like, we're adding age groups, so you'll see like 50% of people in age group are actually outperforming the elites, like the end of the pack. I don't know the exact numbers,
but it probably will be.
We're going to find stuff like that. Like, you routinely at Fenway. So I ran, it took me just under 25 minutes. there was a guy, and I got 6th. There was a guy who won the open heat who was like 27 something. There were only like 5 or 6 more guys in the elite heat who actually beat that guy. So you're gonna have a huge overlap of people.
But did he like cut the course, or we don't know?
That's true. Yeah, there's no way of really knowing that with only a couple of timing mats. But having data like that will at least show like all right, you deserve to. If you're going on the competitive side, because I feel like if you're on the competitive side, you kind of want to know how you stack up, and so that'll just kind of clarify things a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you? So what are you doing races wise next year? First of all, where the hell's TMX?
Oh, I don't know. I hope that it's not at that Virginia venue, or that they at least get some different bars so we don't like mess up our hands. But I remember talking with E-Rock after the event, and he said his goal was to have like 4 or 5 races next year. I don't know if that's going to happen.
It is November 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving, 2018.
They've already announced
0 on the schedule.
They've announced World's Toughest Mudder already for next year, but I have yet to see any news about TMX.
But funny enough, you know the thing with Tough Mudder, sometimes people find shit on the website.
Oh, yeah, like the 12-hour leak. Yeah. Who knew about that?
I thought that was going to be daytime. Kind of bummed they're not mixing that up.
It's midnight, right? That's when it's starting still?
No, but I'm saying, like, I thought it was cool. Like, let's do a daytime one, just to mix it up. So event types, it's currently, let's see.
They probably don't have anything.
Just for the heck of it. Toughest mile on the planet. Sign up for, this looks like they've got 2018 cash. They've got the dates from 2018.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of these people just they're developing stuff until after Christmas.
Are you familiar with the phrase, look at the fitness?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you? oh, wait. Yeah, that's you, and like freaking out about Corona. Look at the
fitness.
Yeah.
Right? I thought I was hoping that was going to catch on.
I remember now. That was that should be like your you should get a T-shirt. Like,
well, I actually
fitness.
Well, here's the deal. I had what's his name, who made the fuck these guys get me some wine shirts.
Yeah.
Is that Batras?
For Woods?
Yeah.
I don't know who made it, but whoever did, it was a great shirt.
Well, he was going to make me.
And he's just like sitting on the chair.
He was going to make me a shirt. Okay, it's interesting. I'm looking at the toughest mile on the planet.
Yep.
Okay. And you've got Kempson, Hepner, McIntyre, Isaiah, one of the twins. I'm just looking at this thing. You don't have to get up. No, you're fine.
I'm just curious.
Don't just say there. There's just a picture.
Why don't you take a seat? All right.
Jeez, God. And so here's Mac, right?
Yep.
So Mac posts a lot, but Mac hasn't ever like beaten these guys. Where does he rank in this like system?
So he's like an 88, 89 overall.
Right. So who else is in that range?
That's like out of the names that you just named? Like
yeah, or just in general.
So like Yancey, for instance, he's like 89, 90 overall. He'd probably be able to jump in a lot of these stadium races and be like right in line with Mac.
Right.
Like, just trying to think. Like Ian Dyerly used to be a lot better. He's probably like closer to the 90 range at this point, just because he's regressed a little bit. Not to say that he's not. He just won a race recently, but it wasn't as stacked. So that kind of takes into account the difficulty level and stuff. So he's a very, very solid, like Mac's a very solid racer, but just like you were mentioning, it's like he's not beating them.
And that's where your rankings come in includes head to head.
Exactly.
So then where does Amelia go? Right? Because Amelia doesn't race a lot. She took a couple of the podiums, but they weren't crowded. And at the crowded races, she was like 4th, 5th, 6th. Right? So then where do you put her?
So it all takes into account like difficulty. So if you are cherry picking races like the New Orleans Sunday one that you mentioned earlier,
right?
So if that's where you're winning and everybody's like a 10th place at the Chicago U.S. Series might be actually better than getting 2nd place at one of these joke races. Not joke races, but a lower level race when everyone who's really trying to see how well they are compared to everyone is at the U.S. Series. So it takes into account like difficulty, how historically dominant the field has been, how many good people have been there, like what percent of the winner, what place you get. It's got a bunch of different factors built into there. So it's kind of like consistent performance throughout the season is better than like one amazing race, if that makes sense.
So, by the way, who's assigning that point value?
Me. And it's a formula. I'm not being like, all right, well, I like Atkins, so I'm going to make him a 90.
But when you said, how does the computer know that everyone else is somewhere else? How does the computer know that everyone's not there?
So every race has like a relative difficulty. So beginning of the year, whatever the most difficult race through like April is. It's not even going to be comparable to what Tahoe will be later on. But the most difficult race as of that point, say it's like Monterey or something, SoCal, that's going to have like the highest difficulty rating.
Because the top raters are all there.
Through that point in the schedule. But then the next week happens, and then there's a U.S. Series race, and it blows everything up, and suddenly everything appears less difficult relative to the new.
So by the end of the year,
it might look funky at the beginning, but it's averaged out over the long run, where it's like which races are the most. Like I'll pull up the list of the most difficult races.
But we're looking at Excel. Who's writing whatever program you need to?
I'm just doing it all in Excel.
So there is no actual program.
I've coded Excel to, run these numbers, get your best race, your worst race, your average, all these different things.
But why?
Spits out a formula.
Why isn't it in some other language?
Because I don't know another language, and I'm really good at Excel at the moment. And I'm trying, like we're working with, or I'm in contact with a couple different coders to try to automate it a little bit more. Just because Spartan is making it really difficult to get their results, as you've seen. Have you seen their new layout?
It's not Athlinks anymore?
No. Go to Spartan. Oh, it's horrible. Like if you just click, you know how if you're looking at like a road race and it'll say your name, line, like it's a single line item. This, you can see 2 at a time, and then you have to scroll down. It's like a profile block almost.
Why wouldn't it still be aligning with Athlinks?
It still is, but just click on any results and photos up there.
There's a discount today, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, nice. There always is. So click on like Laughlin or something. Yeah.
To Carolina, that just happened.
Sure. Scroll down. Or view. You don't have the normal results. You have to click view race results.
How soon are these up, by the way?
Day of and stuff. So who cares? It's open, elite, whatever. So scroll down. That's what they're showing now. You can't even like easily view it. I think it's horrible.
It is horrible.
That like not just trying to gather data off of it. It's just like a block where you can see 2 names at a time. I would rather just be able to scroll down, see the top 100. Like if I'm just a casual viewer.
So how do I get to full race results?
You can't. They do not have it.
Why would it not link with Athlinks, which is already...
It is on Athlinks, but you got to
go back to Athlinks.
You have to find it on Athlinks and then filter it out by the right... It's a pain. I don't like their new results.
But again, this is why... Fucking Spartan.
This is just like the project you were mentioning before, where it's like you just want a quick access, like who got the top 10.
But I'm saying this is why they won't pay you and Yancey this year, even though they should, and probably won't pay you for 5. Is that it used to be super hard, right? Mm-hmm. Because when I go to Athlinks and I type in Carolina Beast, it might show me 3 from the same year.
Yep.
It might show one that never got off the ground
because they coded the date wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some races, like if it's been there consistently, you can sort by year.
You can go back to 2012 or something.
Right, but some years you can't because it's called 5K instead of Super, or it's called, there's 12 different fucking things that it's called. So the fact that it was tied to Athlinks, if you were in any given year on the Spartan race, you're automatically going to that page. Now they've made it worse to make it more about the individual racer. Now, I want to know all my Spartan races ever. This guy, Kevin Paisley, go ahead. This guy, Kevin Paisley, it's nice. It is, look at this.
That's only claimed results. That's the issue.
Right, but at least it wants to...
It lists your super beasts and stuff, like it'll tell you if you've had a trifecta.
Which is what I thought this was, but then it includes Mun Ninja, but none of this is clickable.
Savage Race on the... Yeah, you can't click on this to find the Athlinks. It's very, very difficult to like acquire or just find the results easily.
Such a fucking head scratcher moment. Such a facepalm emoji moment.
Oh no. Isn't it frustrating? And it's not just because like I'm trying to get it. It's just if you wanted to see where you finished in a race, you can't even click on the link that they're showing you what race you were in. It's like a teaser. Yeah. So I'm frustrated too.
It's a complete teaser.
Yeah.
Now I got to go backwards into Athlinks.
Yep. There's no direct link on there at all. And often on Athlinks, they'll list like the elite sprint underneath like the open ultra. And the only reason I know that it's wrong is because I've seen these names enough. So I'll be able to, but if you're a casual viewer.
And if you go on the phone on a Saturday and you go to CT Live, like that's your other option. This is so hard.
Well, CT Live, you can't even copy the text off of it. It's posted as an image. You literally can't even.
This is so bad.
Oh yeah.
So you're working on
You said you are working on Mutter and Savage, or like how are you working on other stuff?
So right now, Spartan, I think most people would agree throughout the year, it has the most consistent high-level people throughout. And this is targeted at competitive, elite age group, like the people who care about their results. So I recognize that 90% of the people who are running races probably aren't going to have a number associated with them, and most of them don't care because they're not there to actually see how they are relative to it. So it's only next year we're going to be adding the age groups, and I'm working on gathering that data at the moment. But Spartan Race, for starters, that one, would you agree that throughout the year you can expect 2-3 races per weekend in general? They're going to have a lot of the results that you can get a huge data set and figure out where people rank. Savage and Tough Mudder, without question, they have like their events, but most people would agree Tougher hasn't been even close to the same You might have like 3 or 4 good guys
Savage
show up.
puts on like...
Yeah, I was getting to Savage also. They get probably a 10 deep field most of the time. Not as deep as Spartan, but you have people who are like Savage purists, and they are without question like that's their race. So I've started I've got it pulled up. I've got Savage, Tough Mudder, and Spartan like folders for them. So I'm in the process of doing that. But Spartan right now, it was make sure we work out the kinks with something that has a lot of data available.
Right. Do you know where to find the old Savage data, by the way? Because I do.
Yeah.
If you need it.
I've got it all saved.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Where does Matt Davis 2012-13 rank? Because that's when I actually ran Elite, and last time I did
sure you want to know that?
burpees.
Okay.
Well, I know that in 2012 I finished in the top 100 because they scored the. If anybody,
anybody because like you showed up at.
If you showed up at Killington and did the Ultra Beast, you got 10,000 points. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah. But I'm
did
curious.
You get paid for that?
No, I got.
I was like, if you got paid just for showing up.
I got a shirt that said points leader.
Okay.
It's in my attic somewhere.
There you go. All right. So this you want where you were.
What about where I am total, and then where I am in those 2 year periods? So we have it yearly.
We don't have it like your 2012 score is 8% of your current. Like we don't have anything like that. It's more like here's where you are year by year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at me 2012 and 13.
I'm loading it right now. It's just got the spinny circle thing. How do you finish in Killington that year?
I DNF'd.
You DNF'd.
I famously DNF'd. Everybody knows that.
Gotcha. I know that a bunch of people that year, like Yancey said that they were part of like the Lost Tribe, where there were like 20 people who ended up running an extra 5 miles because they labeled the course incorrectly. It
wasn't. Here's what happened.
Okay.
Yancey and a bunch of people got lost.
Mm-hmm.
Morris physically stopped them. Mike Morris physically stopped them and said, "You guys are all DQ'd right now."
What?
They all freaked out.
Yeah, because it's like, why am I here?
Because it was like the biggest race of the weekend.
Yeah. Probably in the sport.
2 people that I know of, could be more, Matisse and Morgan.
Tony Matisse
and Morgan said, okay, fine, which included going up the backside mountain instead of 2 times, 3 times, because they'd already gone up it once the wrong way.
That's not fun.
Morgan still came in, I think, 6th for the women, which is phenomenal. Yeah. No, Mackay.
Oh, Mackay. Okay, yeah.
And Matisse like barely made the cutoff. Now I think that probably someone like Bubbles probably fucking hung in there and did it too. If you're listening to this and you were in that tribe and you actually finished,
I want to know who was responsible for that. Like who was the guy who was far enough away from the lead pack and then caused all these people.
Well, that's the thing is that the top 2 guys had broken away enough. Because that was the thing.
That was
happened.
like the Hobie and Cody and Bracken.
No, just Hobie and Cody.
Oh, 2012. Okay.
Hobie and Cody had done it right.
Yeah.
And like these 20 other people hadn't. And that was part of the argument when they were freaking out was like, look, these 2 guys made it. They didn't make a wrong turn and they're fine.
Yeah.
So it's the rest of you. And that was like, it was the whole season was like the points. And it was like, if you know what I mean? So like, what are you going to do? And this was when the Ultra Beast was on Saturday. So they said, look, run Sunday.
And we'll doing that.
We'll figure something out. Mm-hmm. But it's just a beast then. Sunday was just a beast. It was the Ultra Beast was the only one of its kind at the time.
At that point.
So anyway.
Oh, that's rough. Okay.
I know. It was really rough.
Good history lesson there.
Yes.
Okay. So 2015, you were
I don't want to know where 2015. I said 2012 and 13.
I'm showing you all of them.
I only ran open in 20. I stopped.
No. You had one race in 2015 that you ran elite, and you were a 64.7. And then in 2013, you were a 61.3. And then in 2012, you were a 62.05. You were 2,916th in the world at that point. And then you were
out of how many?
I'm gonna lose my place. 10,000. Oh, that's male and female. So you're probably 5,000-6,000 for men at that point.
I'm 2,000 out of 5,000.
Yeah.
Now I'm far lower if I ever did an actual elite race.
So the next, So in 2015, when you raced, like I said, just keep this number in mind: 57.97.
Okay.
Out of 37.752. Oh, wow. Oh no, that's the wrong one. How many guys are there? Okay, 57.97 out of 13.831. So you were middle, just above the average.
I feel like I would be far.
You ran a harder race. That's the reason, because your time relative to the winner in that race was probably worse than it would have been if you ran just an easier race.
But I'm saying if I did any race today, if you and I went out and did the Conyers sprint last weekend, I would fail a bunch of obstacles.
Yep.
My time would be horrible.
Oh yeah.
And I would be horrible.
Without question. Yeah. No, there's no doubt. That's why I was saying in the earlier example, like if you put me in a space or in like a time machine 5 years ago, people would have known who I am. Now I'm just like the guy hoping to be, top 5 in most races because the competition is so much better. But I would have been like Alec Blennis. I'm about as good as he was.
Right.
And people, when they talk about the early days of the sport,
they still remember old Alec Blennis.
Yep.
He was also young.
John Young Pack.
It's a good story there.
I've beat him before. He was not as good as people say. Elliot McGuire.
Did you beat Alec in TMX though in Minnesota? Or
I wasn't invited at that one.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like,
you beat you better than Elliot, right?
Yeah, I'm ranked higher than he had a couple years where he was like a 94 or 93, and I'm like a 92, 93. So he had a couple years where he truly was better. But like people think the old days, oh man, he was just like some god. It's like not compared. Okay, well he had the most podiums, so some people might look at it on the surface and think
I think most people know that Alec and Elliot were like of their time. Or Magida.
Yeah.
Magida thinks he's better than he was.
Magida just took down. I know he didn't run the combine, and let me tell you, anyone who is thinking that event was a joke, I know that it's not reflective of like who the best runner is in general, because that's what most of the races come down to. That was an awesome event.
Well, the combine's another conversation for another time. I'm talking about.
But Magida took down a lot of good names, basically. This past week, he ran the sprint the day after the combine. He took down like Mike Ferguson.
Nobody's heard of.
He's had a couple top 10s. John Penland's the
nobody's heard of.
The under 18 OCR world champion.
So but you understand that like you and Yancey like to do this and say, no, this person's really good.
Yeah.
Based on data you have. They've never and never will beat any of the top people. Magida cannot podium with any of the top guys today. Sure.
Yeah. Again,
sorry, Magida. I like you a lot.
Yeah.
But he's like,
well,
he'll write. Magida will write like mixing it up with the guy. It's like, no, dude, you're not mixing it up with
Hobie or
with
Atkins,
with Atkins or Woods.
See, I think in like a 35 minute race, he could hold his own in general. He wouldn't
be more than sprint.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like he beat Bracken. He beat like I think he outright won, or he got second behind like Ryan Kempson earlier this year in Miami. Short, fast course, and he took down some pretty decent.
Right, but anything other than that, not a sprint.
But that's OCR is turning into that. It's like I know that I'm not.
And again, I like you, Magida. I'm just saying you can't say.
But that's
you were really good. You were really good in that time that we've spoken about earlier.
But he still translates pretty well. Like this year, he's still one of the top 40 or 50 racers in the world.
And dude, you could drop into any race and you would do fairly well.
Yeah.
But there's this is the problem. Now you're opening this whole other can of worms. Here's a good example. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to shut that door? Yeah. Here's a good example. If Alexandra Walker shows up and finishes top 5 at World's Toughest, it's a phenomenal fucking year for her.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone is happy.
Yeah.
Right? She's happy. We're happy. Now she can focus on the podium next year.
Yep.
If you're someone who's on the podium consistently, and then years later you show up and you're 7th, you can't run around celebrating because there's nothing to celebrate.
It's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like Magida, Amelia, and I'm sorry, Rose is that like unless you start beating real competition, you can't say you're this awesome elite athlete anymore.
That's the thing about these. It's relative. Like a 97 today is the same as a 97 back then. There were 5 people above a 95 back in like 2012. Now there's 25. So that's just showing, like, if you took the 2012 version of so-and-so, like the Bracken or whoever was back then, you plop him in today's race, he's going to be right where a 95 would be today, which might be the 15th best racer.
I mean, this goes back to the much bigger conversation, which if you've hung in this long, if you were bored by numbers, now we're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I like numbers, so I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that, you know, what Ryan Atkins does, and doesn't just speak it, but lives it, is own your race, right? And so you don't have to make up this fucking hypothermia excuse with World's Toughest. You don't have to talk about whatever you were coming back from, or you know, this happened, or your food that morning. It's like, just own it, right?
Yeah.
So like, Ryan Atkins like legitimately had a foot thing this year, but you never heard about it.
He had,
and
like,
even
that
in his
blood
worst
juice.
race, he still came in 5th.
Yeah.
But you didn't hear him talk about it forever. So if you're going to claim elite status all the time, then you better fucking be top 3 everywhere you go.
You are what your numbers say you are.
Right.
Like,
not what you used to be.
Not because you ate about, like, I've historically had some issues digesting food on the race morning, and I've, you know, dropped a couple minutes and a couple pounds mid-race, and it's like, I know that I'm better than that, but guess what? The paper says that this is my finishing time.
Right. And it's okay for you to know that internally.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to go on some rant and post for 5 hours, or post for 5 minutes about how this
My
race...
shoe came untied. They ran out of water at this
And
thing,
this race
and I'm
fucked
not
me.
from elevation. Yeah.
All that shit. But I'm just saying, it would be like me for this half marathon, right? Like, I can't go and bitch about, like, it's just like, look, I did what I did.
That is what your time is.
What can I learn, and how can I do better the next time?
And I feel like the more races you do, you kind of accept that. Like, early on, I think Matt Novakovic actually said it. You are what your third race is. Like, you have a couple of trials, and then you're pretty consistent most of the rest of your career.
So where's Novakovic, by the way?
This year,
speaking of someone that used to kill it,
not doing too hot this year.
Best in the sport, other than Tahoe. He could never seem to figure out the championship race.
I wouldn't say he was the best in the sport. He was probably in like that 10 to 15 range consistently.
Dude, he won like 15 Spartans in a row. Matt Novakovic, I'm defending him because now he hasn't done good.
2014, I had him ranked 10th in the world. Ahead of him was like Chad Trammell, Isaiah, Marco Bedard, Hunter, Atkins, Bracken, Albin, Yatsko, and Cody Moat. So like he
won every week in garbage races.
He didn't win every week.
He did win every week.
No, he didn't. I can prove it, but he didn't win every week. I had him ranked 8th in 2013.
So his best year, he was 8th.
He didn't race in 2012. Let's see.
So by the way, we got to set the stage for people. Okay, we got to set the stage for people.
21st in 2015.
Virginia 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see what happened to him at Killing? I know he
just
came out of nowhere.
You're interrupting me.
Oh, you're telling the story, the backstory.
Tell the story.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Virginia 2013, wintergreen. Okay, a super. Okay, up a big mountain. Okay, Matt B. Davis's first burpee free race. Could be my last one. Okay.
Yep.
First time I hit my spear, and the first time I had a burpee free race. Matt Novakovic, out of nowhere, beats Hobie Call.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Immediately he's on the map. I was calling him...
He was visiting like on a vacation or something.
Right.
And that's when you did it. Yeah.
I was calling him Matt Novakovic, if you go back and listen to that episode.
Yep.
He does well at the next 2 races, and immediately, as anyone does back then, now you're on the Spartan Pro team. Now you're traveling everywhere. Matt was also a businessman, and he's smart, so he actually talked to Joe and kind of became Joe's boy for a while, right? And was traveling, doing every race. And he won, it looks like, every race. But you're saying there's no championship series back then. There's only Killington. And he didn't do well in Killington. He later wouldn't do well in Tahoe. But I'm saying, how many races did he win in 2013?
By year?
2013 and 2014. That was his heyday.
Okay. Matt Novakovic in 2013, he won 2.
Okay, 2014?
He had 14. Isaiah had more wins than him that year.
14's a lot of wins.
It is, no doubt.
It's a third of the year.
Yeah.
But against no competition.
But like you were saying, he was traveling everywhere, and this is 2014 versus 2018.
But no competition in those races. If he was 8th, you're saying. In his best year, he was 8th?
Yeah.
By the way, quick side note, back to what we were saying before. Luminox, official Spartan watch and official timing partner of Spartan US Series. That explains why it's fucked. Because rather than keep what they had that worked, they're doing something with this new sponsor that doesn't work. So Luminox, get your shit together, because this clearly... And also,
probably a sponsor that'll be here 1 year, and this shit will be gone next year,
yeah.
right?
It just makes it's the viewing experience isn't as good for the casual person.
Here's the thing. Listen, I got to make money, right?
Yeah.
I'll take sponsorship from almost anybody, right? There was an There was an Alpha Wolf ad on my website for a little while. Some random fucking bodybuilding protein thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying take the money where you can get it.
Yep.
But don't, when you partner with them for timing,
Yep.
and you go, look, we've got 6 years of history. You're not touching that. We're going to keep this stuff tied, and we'll use you for X, Y, and Z, but we've got to keep some continuity because guess what? We might not have you next year. Maybe we will.
Yeah.
Or 2 years, whatever the deal is.
Or no matter who your new watch replacement
exactly
comes in,
we can't
do the same year after year.
We can't do this with you for these reasons.
Yep.
Jesus Christ on a crutch. I want to know. This is groundbreaking.
What are you looking up?
I want to know what Matt Novakovic was.
Okay. Let me find that.
Because I would think he was going against the best back then, other than Tahoe, where he famously blew
but
it.
is the best back then relative to? I know what you're saying. You're saying,
but you're saying he's the eighth best back then
in that 1 year. Okay, let me pull this up.
But see, this is why, by the way, that I feel like some sort of program would be better than Excel. That it takes you this long to find one stat.
I have to open the file.
I'm not shitting on you.
I know.
You know what the next stat I want you to do is?
What?
Number of Instagram posts versus
performance.
How
about number of Oral IV sponsors?
Well, that's way too easy. Ladies and gentlemen, I might have to actually edit this episode.
Okay. Matt Novakovic, 2013, he ended up winning that West Virginia one.
Virginia,
yeah. He got 16th at Killington, his only other race.
Okay, 2014.
And then he got one more in Fenway Stadium. He got third behind Bracken and Hunter. And then fourth behind Hunter, Cody, and Isaiah. And then 2014 pops out. He got sixth behind Hobie, Hunter,
How many races did he win in 2014?
14 total.
14 races, and what's his score?
It's like 95 something.
But that puts him at 8th?
Yeah, that year.
So who's number 1 in 2014?
2014, Cody Moat.
Who's number 2?
Yatsko.
Okay, is there a number of races minimum? Because Cody Moat didn't race back then, did he?
So Albin won Killington. That was the only race of the year. That doesn't put him as number 1 despite winning that because it values consistent performance because everyone just assumes toughest race of the year.
So is there a race minimum? I'm asking you.
It's once you reach a certain number, it depends on region and year, but like you'll get a small deduction factor, like maybe like 0.99. Like your score will get very, very.
So how many races
reduction.
did Cody have that year? Or who did you say was number 1?
Cody ran 5.
Yatsko
13.
So Cody 5 races. How many points ahead of
Cody was a 98.09. Novakovic was a 95.6.
Okay.
Yeah. There were 5 guys 97 or above. Yatsko. You remember Yatsko back then? Like
he was tearing it up.
He was on a different level.
Tearing it up.
Albin won Tahoe or Killington.
Let's throw him out though, just for sake of argument.
Yeah. Ryan Atkins was second. He ran a couple of races later in the year. Also got second. Beat everybody in that field. And then Bracken Crocker. Destroying a lot of races back then. Hunter was ahead of him. Marco Bedard, Chad Trammell, Isaiah, who ran 24 races.
If you said in 2014, who is better, Matt Novakovic or Marco Bedard, you would lose 100 bets. No one would say Marco.
That's okay. It's up for debate.
No. I'm not. Yeah, this is not one where I'm saying you're wrong. I'm saying this shows where your data is good.
Okay.
I'm saying that's amazing because you're saying when Marco
on the surface,
because like, Marco raced better competition head to head.
Yeah. So the way that I look at it is you're kind of looking at.
I just can't believe it because yes, I know that not every race was against the top guys, but I felt like he's only known for famously doing bad at the championship. But you're saying he's famously doing bad against any race where there's real competition.
He's not doing bad. It's just like all the races he's getting 6th, or like he won a lot of the easier races or podium there. But when it was Hunter, Cody, Isaiah, Chad, Brackett, like he was losing to them.
So here's a great question.
Yeah.
Here's a great question. How many sponsors do you think Chad Trammell has?
He's a dentist, so he doesn't need any. No, probably none. Unfortunately,
none.
Which sucks because he is like historically probably top 3 most underrated racers of all time. Like that guy performs all the time. He ran like a 2:25 marathon this year also. And obviously he's got over 100 miles in World's Toughest. So underrated, but no one thinks of him among the greats because he doesn't have the social media presence, or it's a bummer. I feel bad for the guy. But
well, I think that
probably pushed him away
this
from
whole
the sport a
conversation,
little.
this whole conversation is the reason to have data like this.
Yeah.
Chad has 0 sponsors, I can tell you right
Yeah.
now. Maybe after he won World's Toughest, he got a couple, but no one thinks
Yeah.
of him the same way no one thinks of Marco, because Matt, he was definitely part of the Spartan marketing machine.
Exactly. You saw him week after week. He's on like the banner when you check in. Matt is. We're trying to find flaws in someone who's the 10th best in the world at a time. That's what we're trying to do, and just compare minuscule differences at this point. But that's what it's showing. That's all I'm saying.
By the way, anybody who's listening to this, this is a thing.
You've got some patience, or you're a nerd,
But anybody who's listening to this who has an issue with any of this, or if you're a friend of this racer and think you disagree with me, that's fine. Here's the thing that I watch. Okay, I think I've said this before in the podcast. Do you watch sports talking heads at all?
Sometimes, yeah. I used to watch like PTI and Around the
PTI is
Horn.
my jam.
Yeah.
When Michael Wilbon says that guy is a joke, that team is garbage, this coach is a buffoon, right? He can do that because there's 20,000 talking heads and none of them actually make a difference.
Yeah.
Once in a while, maybe like if a certain name or a certain athlete, but for the most part, you'd say whatever.
Stephen A. Smith or Colin Cowherd, they do the same. They're just throwing it out to try to.
Well, they're trying to get ratings.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once in a while, you'll see a thing about it. But I'm saying, if I say, I think Matt Novakovic is full of shit, or I think whatever, right? Our sport is so small.
Yeah.
Right?
Who knows?
Right?
Yeah.
And Matt, I don't think you're full of shit as a dude. I like
the guy. Yeah.
I like him a lot. We've had a lot of phone conversations personally. I'm saying that if I say, Megiddo, I think you shouldn't say, and this is me saying this, Megiddo, you shouldn't say you're mixing it up with the best of them because you're not anymore. And it doesn't make you a bad guy. You're just not. If you went against the guys that are 96 and above now, they would clean your clock, right?
He'd be close, but because he's like in that 30 range right now.
But he can't beat Atkins.
He's not on Atkins and like that upper level. He's like a 1B at this point, which is not to say that he can't clean house normally. But you're saying that if you plop, Killian decides to show up and this is like an hour and a half race, he's not going to be a podium threat if those bigger guys show up. If 5 of them show up.
And neither is Amelia anymore, right?
Yeah, no, I would agree. And a lot of the sport is based on reputation, I feel.
But someone like myself, someone might tell Amelia and say, Matt's shitting on you on this podcast, and I'm not.
Yeah.
We're looking at the facts.
We're looking at simply, and that's the beauty in this, where you can have these arguments, and it's an imperfect, perfect system. There are going to be minor flaws to it, but in general, it's like you can agree that these 6 guys were on a different level this year. Like Woods, Killian, Atkins, they're above everyone else. And then you'll have your Ian Hosicks and your VJ, they're just behind, but they're going to dominate basically everywhere. So there's the echelons and the different tiers, and this is kind of showing it
But see, here's what my question always is, and this is what I talk to the Ryans about, because they've said to me, hey, these guys are right there.
Yeah.
And
it just takes them to do burpees, and then suddenly they'll have a breakout race or something.
Well, and VJ is the easy example because he's the youngest, can still get better, right? Can Woods get much better than he is right now at 39?
That he might do the Novakovic, 8 father time ends up beating you.
Well,
that's what's happening.
Novakovic isn't just father time. Novakovic is the sport caught up, right? Yeah. And Novakovic and Woods and Megiddo, all the people I'm talking about, is the sport caught up with you. A lot of people are really good, right? A lot more people are really good. And age has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Woods at this point,
you're still seeing people in their late 30s dominating the top 10 at all these events, so they've got time.
Right, but I'm saying if we took VJ, for example, who's still super young and can still improve in a lot of areas.
Without question,
That's what I'm saying. And that's the kind of stuff that, I think, again, your data will help. Is hey, look at this person. Look at this person. You've never heard of them?
Oh, yeah.
Because they suck at social media.
Yeah. No,
and they don't have the Spartan machine behind them.
Yeah. I'm going to talk with you. We'll talk later, but I want to do here are 5 names to watch next year. Let's see how they turn out, because I've got people. I had Rebecca Hammond. We released
Rebecca Hammond?
We released this at Tahoe. I have text message proof that I messaged, here's what's going to happen at West Virginia. I had her ranked 4th.
But didn't we? But wait,
no one saw her coming
except you.
Yeah, I know who these people are because of consistency. And I wanted to blurt it out, but because this project was still under wraps at that time, that I just didn't mention it.
The app was still under wraps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the project. Yancey and I were 2 of 4 people in the world who knew about this.
And then if we're lucky, right? I hope if we're lucky, someone like Aaron Rost will still happen. We love when that happens.
Absolutely, yeah. And people sneak through the cracks all the time, without a doubt. I'm just saying that Rebecca had performance, and I knew that she was coming.
If you want to ask me what gets me excited about podcasts,
yeah.
Jung Young Pak 2013, and he says, you never know who's going to show up, and this guy showed up.
Atkins.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, Atkins would then go on to be the greatest in the world. P.S., by the way, side note, while we're all about Ye Rea, right, and Ye Mendoza, Atkins just won his 6th World's Toughest Mudder, which will probably never be broken.
No, absolutely not.
And again...
He's Babe Ruth right now.
He's Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
And again, and probably not slowing down.
No.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win World's Toughest next year? Just right now, who's going to win World's Toughest next year?
If it's solo, Ryan Atkins. Or the $1 million thing. I would say probably Mendoza, Killian.
No. Who could maybe beat Atkins at the 100-mile that we've never quite seen?
Oh, a new person besides the...
No, the one guy that we were supposed to see the battle and then we didn't.
Oh, Alden.
Right.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Right. But if I asked anybody in the world who's going to win World's Toughest next year, it's not like who's going to win Tahoe next year.
Yeah. A lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
But World's Toughest, Atkins. So Atkins just won his 6th event, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
In a row.
Yeah. And he's done teams, he's done solo, he's done...
So how long did it take to break Babe Ruth's...
1920s through 1961
for single season.
Yeah.
What about for lifetime? How long did you get from Babe Ruth to
714
to get?
Yeah, Hank Aaron was in the 70s, so probably about 60 years, 55 years.
Right?
Yeah.
At least 20.
You're thinking generational, your kid's age.
Exactly.
Is the person who's going to come up.
It's not anybody now.
No,
because he's still doing it.
Here's the thing: it's like the Olympic. I would have been almost an Olympic medalist in the 1896 Olympics with some of my running times. All right, so that doesn't mean that the stuff we're seeing now might just get shattered. We're just seeing the growth of the sport.
Well, another complete total tangent though. But to me, the one that fucks with me on that is the speed one. Because at some point you can't get faster.
No, Usain Bolt. There's no 8-second 100-meter guy coming along. You might get 9.4 instead of 9.58.
But it does exist. There is a point,
yes,
right?
There might be some guy in Uganda somewhere who's just not trained, and then people are oh well, we got to train this guy.
But I'm saying at some point that's
the physiological limit of the human body.
Exactly,
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. We don't know where that is.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's 115.
But winning 6 World's Toughest Mudders in some category in a row.
Yeah.
Is probably not seriously. It's it can't be. Maybe
you can't have anything go wrong in a race in which everything goes wrong. That's impossible. And do you pay attention to any baseball stats? Have you heard of WAR, wins above replacement? So they have a thing like this where it classifies a number 0 through whatever, and if you're a 10, you're an MVP caliber guy. They have something called the 7-year peak, and that's how long people stay at their dominance. Atkins is getting there, but I think because he started early that he was only still improving there. I think he's got a few more years, but most people tend to have a 7-year window where they're all-time dominant and then they taper off a little bit.
But
baseball, football,
right? But in this, we're talking specifically World's Toughest Mudder.
Yes,
because Atkins,
he was learning the ropes the first couple of years, even though he won. I think that he's got many more years left.
Right, but
and Rhea also, yeah.
But I'm saying the battle for all those other guys will still be the battle for all those other guys.
If you're saying focus 100 years now, who's got the most wins all time for Worlds? That's where you're saying.
Right.
Who's going to beat Atkins? Yeah, you're going to need everything to go right year after year while the sport is continually.
You just said it in a race where everything goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
All right. My guest has been Jack Bauer.
Awesome.
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah,
God,
plug
an hour and a half.
If you've actually listened to this entire thing, you are way too nerdy also.
Right.
But,
you're white and nerdy. You're on a really long run.
Absolutely. I'm just glad I got I made it through this interview without the sunshade or the sunglasses on.
So that's it?
No. Okay, go to yanceycamp.com.
Right.
It's a big banner at the top that says rankings. That's going to have all of the data that I've got coming out. You can classify it by year, region, all this. Look up your name. We're working on the search function to improve it. Also, just recently released today a top 10 list of every single major A race, not just in the U.S., but throughout time. So if you want an easy thing to find, like I was mentioning with Matt, you just want to find who got top 10 at Killington in 2013. Just go right there. If you want to know who...
Where is this?
Who was the... click on...
Would it be safe to say this entire...
right here.
But would it be safe to say this entire race needs an overhaul?
So the entire race?
This entire website needs an overhaul.
We're working on some of the coding, but look, just go to hover over 2018 on the banner, World Championships. If you want to know who was, the 10th place at this year's mountain race, here's what you got.
This is great stuff.
Is that pretty cool?
This is awesome.
Yeah, just you describe it real quick. First time seeing it. What are you seeing?
Okay, so I hover to 27-17, and the first 3 drop downs are World Championship, Regional, and National. I got a National. It breaks up into Asia and U.S. I guess that's kind of weird. Wait, what happened to this? What happened to the stadium and stuff?
It didn't have a stadium series last year. That's only this year. So
was there a mountain series last year?
No. Go to 2018.
But there was a stadium series. There just wasn't.
It was a single San Francisco championship that they didn't announce that was the championship. But this shows you all of the series that. So 2018, you got stadium series down here. You hover on it, you go to US, and you can choose which one. So yeah, if you just want to look, like I said, 2013 World Championship, Killington Beast, or
right.
You
go and this is what Matt B. Davis has so far. This is the equivalent on ORM, just so you know where I'm going with it.
Okay.
So hey, let's wrap this up, dude.
Okay.
We've talked way too long.
Yeah, I agree. You
should just delete the whole thing, or do you think we should
do whatever? If anyone actually listens to this or wants to hear us, just message Matt. Yeah, although this is way too long into it, you're not going to hear this part. But message Matt if you want the private episode, because no one's going to want to hear this.
All right, talk to you later.
And that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got so much great stuff coming up, as I've mentioned previously. We've got Anders Varner Part 2. We've got Tina Muir, who's the episode I went on that many of you heard and liked. We've got Christian Griffith, one of the original co-founders of Obstacle Racing Media, and so much more. We bring you these episodes every Tuesday, and then a Chase and Chase episode, video and audio, usually every Thursday now. Please let us know, did you like this episode? Did you like this kind of episode? Did you like the Stacey Davis episode? Do you want to hear more of that? Let us know. Drop me a line. I'm Matt B. Davis on all the platforms. You can follow Obstacle Racing Media on our YouTube, we're all over the place. IG a lot. So hop on, say anything nice or not nice on any of those platforms. I'll be happy to hear from you. That is it for now. Love you, Miss Mean It. Gotta run.